background. This is November 1st, 2023, day after Halloween. Halloween post, what have you, going by Halloween ethics and by looks. You're not going through the quantum realm of Star Trek. You're not going through the hell beyond of Hellraiser. We're big horror movie fans here. Not sure if our guests, we'll bring them in momentarily, is the guy to your left could be your right, could be up, could be down, depending on what device you're using. The table or the iPad could be an actual laptop, could be a desktop, could be one of those swivel shits, or your phone. The bald head man with the goatee. We got Saltine here. Welcome, brother. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Get your ass whooped.
Of course, your host Tech here. Shout out to our absentees because of the time, because of the impromptu interview this is. Shout out to Aphrodisia Queen. Shout out to XO. Shout out to Toe. Shout out to LSR and the Chuckster, the family of Under the Mats Radio. Follow us on Twitter at UTMR underscore. Is that our handle?
Underscore.
I'm
Yep. Tech
sorry.
underscore.
Let me back
What?
up. Cause of damn Elon Musk. Is it Twitter? Is it X? We don't know what the fuck
X.
it is.
Twitter
X,
X.
Twitter, whatever it is. Let's switch it around. It's at UTMR underscore TECH. That is Under the Mats Radio hashtag. That's what we are. Our Twitter handle, X handle, whatever the fuck you call it. We don't know what it's called, but it's X, Twitter, whatever it is. YouTube, follow us Under the Mats Radio on YouTube, on Facebook if you still use it, because a lot of people leaving YouTube nowadays. Not really YouTube, but more Facebook. Go towards Daily Motion. Under the Mats Radio. Just Google us. Follow our like page. Follow our Google page. Follow our group page as well. Also, our Gmail, Google. Follow us at Under the Mats Radio at gmail.com. We do not have a TikTok. We don't have a TikTok just yet, but we will. Snapchat, I think, is dead. But if it still is around, we'll have a Snappy Chat soon. MySpace, if you're still using that, you're beyond. Don't fucking use MySpace. And if you're using Safari and using Bing, something's wrong with you. So if you're not using Google, Firefox, Google Chrome, something's wrong with you. You need to get up with the times. And do not try to find us on damn internet, on damn Google, on Edge. No one uses fucking Edge. No one does. I'm an IT professional over 20 years. No one uses Edge unless they have to. We got to say all that here. But yes, find us on Twitter, on YouTube, on Daily Motion, on Instagram, or as kids say, the gram, on Facebook, and not Snapchat yet, not TikTok, and you ain't gonna find us on OnlyFans and all that other shit. We don't do anything like that. But maybe our guest do. He might help us out with that later on. But we'll update you on that. We're here. We're here. We got a great guest for you. It's November 1st, 2023. If we're talking too fast and slow down the motion. The current weather is 42 degrees here in Baltimore. Baltimore, as we say, 42 degrees Celsius, 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't know what the fuck it is Celsius, but it is chilly here. It's all windy. Last week it was 80 damn degrees, but we're here. Our guest is in Atlanta. It's always damn hot in Atlanta. He's North Atlanta in the ATO in Georgia. It's hot. He said it's 45. So that's 45. Freezing to them. Because hot to them is 85 degrees. And if it's 90, it's damn blazing. We're going to bring in a great guest to us. The guy, his government name is Larry Mitchell. You can Google him. You can find him on Instagram or on the gram. But he's better known as Lars Manderson. And I'm going to spell it for people that don't know how to spell or people that know how to actually listen. Lars, A-A-R-S, Manderson, like Anderson. Think of the word Anderson, but just put an M before the A. Manderson. This man is a great guy. We met in a very, what would you say? A very,
it was ironic. It's an ironic meeting.
Ironic way. This man is a retired professional wrestler. He's wrestled for NWA. He's done work for WWE. This man is a certified strength and conditioning coach. He's also a certified exercise therapist. He will explain what the fuck that means. He's also a golf enthusiast. He knows about golf besides Tiger Woods and besides Phil Mickelson because he's white. So, Phil Mickelson and Arnold Palmer is his goats. We're black. Tiger Woods is our goats. So he knows golf is besides that. He's also a deputy sheriff currently. He's also, dear to me, has a background in law enforcement. He's also was a U.S. He's a vet. He's a U.S. United States as U.S. Air Force vet. Air Force. That's what the AF means. This man loves bourbon. He loves the dogs. He loves wrestling. He loves sweating. He loves having fun. He loves barbecue. He loves his wife. If he has kids, he loves his kids. He loves so much other things. We're here live with the man himself, Lars Manderson. Welcome, brother, to Under the Mat Radio. How you feeling?
Brother, I got a drink to that. That was the longest introduction I've ever had in my life. You told me things that I did that I didn't know that I did. So I got a drink to that one.
I got you, brother.
Yeah.
Got you, brother. And before we start off, let the visual fans know what are you sipping on? What are you partaking?
This is I ain't getting paid, so this is an undisclosed bourbon of choice. It may or may not be, but definitely is Woodford Reserve Double Oak. If they want to sponsor me, I would be more than happy to take a sponsorship. It doesn't really mix with my job as far as the strength and conditioning, but hey, money's money. They can bring it on.
Welcome, brother Lars. Thank you much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely ironic and as some say, the universe, a happenstance of us meeting up, talking. We talked off air for over an hour. Definitely meant for us to link up. We have a lot in common as for the show. Thank you for your time, man. Appreciate it.
In all honesty, thank you guys for having me. When you got in touch with me, I was you said you saw my matches, so I was shocked at that.
Yeah.
It's been shooting. I retired in 2016, so here we are years later, and somebody's, oh yeah, I remember what you did. It means a lot to people.
Yeah,
the very enjoyed what I did, and remember that. So I appreciate that.
That's what do you say, Saltine? No cap. Is that what the kids saying now?
No cap.
No cap. Let's realize cap means lie. No cap means don't lie. Yeah. So I legit knew your name because it was only two people we knew about Lars. It was you and then Lars from WWE. Definitely knew your stuff because we talked off air to people that we know as far as the boys and the girls with NWA and the ties that we have. I definitely knew of you way before we even connected. So when we did connect, I was like, oh yeah, I know who you are. I've seen your matches, your ring attire, everything like that. So definitely know who you are. If I didn't know who you were, we would tell you, like, I don't know who you are, but we'll have you. We'll help promote you.
I appreciate it.
Gotta do the Lex Luger finger like this. Shout out to my man Featherstone. Lex Luger always did the index finger. So let's start up with this, man.
Yeah.
Being a dog lover, as I am,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grow up with pets, but I have a lot of friends and family that grew up with pets. And as Under the Mats Radio, our residential pet that we all loved and deared, rest in peace to the Salty Mutt, Saltine's dog, Max, who passed away last year, who was a pet. It will transcend that to you of owning the pit and earning Rockwallers. Why do you love dogs so much? Nothing against cats. We love cats. All of my sisters, all of y'all love cats. Y'all have cats. We love cats.
A definitive stance right now. I cannot stand cats.
Look, real quick, shout out to my baby sister. I love you, Chris. Pumpkin and Darth, we love you. To Bella the cat. All my sisters love cats, but I'm a dog lover at heart. We love them too. But the Salty Mutt who passed on last year. Tell us about why did you start loving dogs? Nothing against cats, and about your Rockwallers and also your pit bulls.
I've always had dogs ever since I was real young. I don't remember ever not having a dog. First one ever was a German Shepherd. had shepherds. We've had at one point growing up, we had Great Pyrenees. We had English Mastiffs. We've had Beagles. My dad raises and like breeds, raises, trains German Shorthair Pointers. I've had boxer, pugs, everything you can imagine. So never been in a situation where I didn't have at least one dog. The Rottweiler I got 2018 as a puppy. She was meant to be a companion to a boxer that I had. The boxer was getting a little older. She wasn't moving around a whole lot, so I needed something to get her up and moving. So get the Rottweiler. Had never had a Rottweiler. Absolutely love that breed of dog. They're the sweetest dogs in the world. They look scary. Everybody's terrified of her, and all she wants is to go up and have everybody pet her. So she looks intimidating. She's the sweetest dog in the world. Climb up in your lap, just wants to cuddle up with you. The pits are a different story. The pit, I've got two mixed breed pits. One is a mix of a pit and a lab, and the other is a pit bully. And the pit lab is scared to death of everything. He'll bark a lot, and as soon as confrontation comes his way, he runs. The pit bully is the opposite. You won't hear him coming until he is right on top of you, and he is protective. He's good with most people. Any other dog that's not inside of the pack, it is a kill on sight. He's on him. But sweet with people, sweet with us. So it's a good mixture of the pack for us. We got kind of a little bit of personality with all of them.
That's a great mix. Now, what would you say about? We all know about the notorious lexicon with pit bulls.
Yeah.
You hear about pit bulls and you know, in the streets, in the ghetto, regardless of where you live at. Us being in Baltimore, you being in Georgia, anywhere. And I've seen it. I've seen both sides. I've seen, you know, people in the streets where they like training the pits, where they aggressive, they trying to kill, they, you know, training for street, you know, street fighting, dog fighting. But then I know people that have pits that are lovable, and I have friends that have had pits and mixed breeds that are just straight lovable. What do you get thoughts from people that say, "Oh, it's a pit. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to. You know, I'm gonna leave it alone. You got a pit. Pits are all evil." What do you say to combat that? Because I know you've dealt with that.
So I come back to this. Like I said, my dad raises German Shorthair Pointers. Those are bird dogs. My dad can take those little puppy bird dogs, put them in the yard without any training, and they know how to point a bird. It's genetically bred into them. Pits are a lot of the same way. They were meant for a specific purpose. They were bred for a specific purpose. Now, can you kind of lean them more into that purpose, or can you kind of shy them away from it? Yes, to a certain degree, but there's genetics at play there. Right? They are meant for that. It's bred into them. I never taught him how to fight anything, but when he sees another dog, it's bam, he's on it, and that's just for whatever reason. His genetics go back to be that dog. We do as much as we can to kind of break that out of them, but at the same time, we kind of know that that's a possibility. When you're taking on a strong-headed dog, that's something that you have to know going into it and kind of be prepared for that. I don't recommend them for. We lost Saltine. I don't recommend that type of dog for everybody. You definitely have to have a strong personality for it.
I understand that. Thank you for that. Now, if you have a cat lover watching this on YouTube, Daily Motion, why don't you love cats, Lars? You gotta explain about the cats, man.
Cats as a breed are assholes. They are. They I've never had a cat in the house that didn't tear up my clothes, try to climb up my clothes to get into my closet, scratch up all my dress shirts. You can pet a cat, and the moment it doesn't want you to pet, it doesn't just walk away. It turns around, it scratches you, it bites you to let you know that it's done being pet. I've not had a good situation with a cat where it's just like, oh yeah, he's cool. Like, no, he's every cat that I've ever been around has been a dick.
That's a good point. That's a good point right there. Look, I don't have any issues with cats or dogs. By my heart, I'm a dog lover. I know Saltine, you are, and Lars is as well.
Well, I'm sure the listener that you have that has a cat, that cat is awesome. That cat is the perfect cat. That cat is a dog personality. The other ones are the ones I'm talking about. Every other cat, other than the one that the one person that is watching this has, those cats are assholes. Your cat's awesome.
I understand. Shout out to Pumpkin, Bella, and Darsh. Definitely love those cats. Cats are just their own species. They just own personality, but we love
Yeah.
them. But I love dogs. No, growing up for me, we had the Salty Mutt, Saltine's dog, which was a pit. Max loved him, barked, very aggressive, but he loved you.
Yeah.
Me growing up, shout out to my brother Comey. He had a Rockwaller, which was called Jake. So we used to suplex him. We used to do wrestling moves, F5s, and suplexes, rock. Everyone would see Jake, they would be scared, he would bark. But like you said, when you met him, he's the one to be petted. So you can put him in an F5, Scorpion, Deathlock. We tried it. All that sharpshooter, DDT, pedigree. He will let you do it because if he felt comfortable with you, that's just how he was. As long as he got petted, got fed, that's how he was.
Oh
So
yeah, get fed. They're food ambitious.
now once they get hungry, that's another story. you know, for a fact. Um, so let's go. You being a dog lover, cats, with the exception, they're just assholes, as you said. That's fine. Let's talk about brother, and I'm gonna hit you hard with this right off the bat. Cause you sipping Woodford Reserve, which I love. Shout out to my family in Kentucky. Shout out to Simon. Shout out to Melita, who introduced us to Woodford, which I love. The Second Amendment. Now we all know we have amendments in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Most of y'all people listening, that's also listening to seeing us, probably don't even know what the fuck that means. Y'all probably failed history class or probably forgot history when we had to remember all the amendments, right? But the Second Amendment is about firearms. It's about the rights to protect. And you and I, Lars, talked off air how that's deep rooted in our background and our family history and us now. Talk about, Lars, how that's important to you, why you're for the Second Amendment, and how that also um, transgressed into your training as a retired vet in the Air Force.
Well, I mean, I didn't retire from the Air Force. A retired would do 20 years and get out. I got out pretty quick. Had some medical issues. So, as far as Second Amendment specific, I'm in law enforcement currently. Um, it was one of those things growing up where I grew up. I grew up in Southwest Missouri. Out of the country, you had to have firearms for protection, not from people. I remember as a kid going out, play out in the yard, and I had a 22 revolver with snake shot in it. The first year we lived out on the land, we killed 31 copperheads. But you just be out in the yard playing around.
Wow.
And copperhead, you got to take the copperhead out and then keep playing. Right? Go out in the woods and do all that kind of stuff. So I grew up around firearms. The big thing with that was the proper education of the firearm safety. Realize that this is a tool. It's a dangerous tool if it's used improperly. It can be very useful if it's used properly, but keep it in context of what it is. It's there for a specific purpose. Not there to play around with. It's not there to wave. My dad was very quick to teach me the rules of firearm safety, and you don't break those rules. Those are there in place to keep people alive. So it was introduced to it early, introduced to the firearm safety rules early, and respect the tool for what it can do. It can do great things. It can hunt. It can put food on your table. It can also do terrible things if it's put in the wrong hands.
That's a great analogy right there. It was a great example right there with dealing with firearms and dealing with how it was. Now with you not retiring from the Air Force, but you being in the Air Force, what was the motivation for you getting into the Air Force, and what led you for you to get medically discharged or close to it?
Um, so I was going to school. I was 19 years old. I was out of high school. I'd gone to college, and I was not doing well in college. I just didn't have any focus. So my dad was in the Army. He was 82nd Airborne. Um, did 4 years in between Germany and a little bit over here. And I was like, oh, it worked for him. I don't think I'm going to give it a shot. Kind of get my head straight. Had a plan. I've always been the type to put a plan together. Before I'm not a real spontaneous person. I'm going to figure out, A to B to C to D, how I'm going to accomplish something. So I put that plan together. Joined up in 2007 is when I went in. Got married to my first wife, and 10 days later, I was in basic training.
Wow.
Don't recommend going that route, by the way.
Wow. So you had just got married, and 10 days later,
10
you
days.
went into the Air Force.
Yes.
No time for. Did you do the honeymoon before, after, in between? No time.
It was a real quick honeymoon, and then, honey, I'm out.
Yeah, you bought a 2 day honeymoon. Relax the backs.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I gotta go to the
Yes.
Air Force. I feel you, man. Now, how was that experience for you?
The Air Force. The one I went in basic training for the Air Force is in San Antonio. I don't know if you guys have ever been to San Antonio. In in San Antonio, it's miserable. It's like 105 degrees every day in San Antonio. It was absolutely awful.
I've been close. I've been to Texas 3 times, so I've been close to San Antonio. So I know.
It was the training itself. Growing up with my dad the way that he was, I was kind of already prepared mentally for what I was getting ready to get into. So the mental part of it really didn't play a factor. Once my instructors kind of figured out, all right, he's got his shit together. Uh, they kind of let off me and kind of let me help pull people through. End up getting into the train a little bit. We were actually going through an obstacle course. I'm pulling another guy through the obstacle course. I tweak my shoulder and go get my shoulder checked out, and then doing all my vitals. And are you feeling all right? I feel fine. It's 105 degrees. I'm hot, but you're running a temperature of 103. I feel hot, but it makes sense. And they do a couple more tests, find out I've got water on my lungs. I was going through the last 2 weeks, and including the obstacle course, with pneumonia.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
So they throw in medical hold, and after I kind of calmed down, after my body rested a little bit, that's when everything kind of caught up to me, and I would end up being in medical hold for about 3 months.
Yeah.
Get medically discharged from that just because I couldn't recover. So get out from that, and it was I think November is when I went back home and had to start over. I said I was the kind of guy who had a plan, and that plan was gone. All right, let's start from square one. What are we doing now?
So with my you explain everything that you have, and we appreciate you being um transparent with that. With your dad being Army,
Yeah.
and to get as we talked about my background, my family, military, law enforcement, Army, Marines. You know how that goes sometimes. Army against Marines and Navy and Air Force.
Right.
Daddy Lars, as we'll call him, is Army.
Yeah.
You go into the Air Force, how did he feel about that? Did he feel any resentment? Because it's either one or the other. It's either like, look, I don't care, or it's like, come on, man, you gotta be one of us. You know how
No,
it is.
his idea. He went in the Army, and he's like, no, you're going in the Air Force if you're going to
Right.
do it. At that time, it was one. I'll be perfectly honest. I like my air conditioning, and so Army was Army was out of the question. Marines was definitely out of the question. I remember getting recruited by the Marines, and they were trying to pull the whole alpha male. Oh yeah, you're just not hard enough to be one of us. And I'm like, okay, man, that's cool. But like this, 18, 19 years old, and I'm like, the ego trip does not get in. Like, just miss me with that, right? So I remember actually being at MEPS, and the Kansas City MEPS. I remember real specifically. It's like there's an aisle or a corridor for every group. Right? And I remember standing in front of the Marines corridor, and way down at the end of the corridor, just loud, everyone yelling, hollering. I was like, nah, that ain't for me. Y'all are doing too much right now.
Right. Look. I tell people all the time is, you know, and I think I'll be okay saying this about being emotional. I know we all sipping as we love the brown, if you will, the dark. My grandfather used to call him GP, Thomas Allen Sr., World War II veteran, combat, was in World War II, Army. I grew up as a kid. If you didn't wake up in the house, and Saltine attested to this because he knew GP, so was my family. If you didn't get up past 7 a.m., you were sick. So it's times me being a grown ass man, and when my mom was living, I would, right around the corner, I stayed with my grandfather. I would stay with him, because he passed away in 96. By this time, he's 92, 93. It'd be 7 a.m. in the morning. And 7:05, he's knocking on the door. Hey, you good? You okay? You sick? Nah, Pop, I'm good. Okay. Get your ass up. That's how he talk. Don't let the burn like Pop. It's Saturday morning. It's Saturday. It's get your ass up. Don't let the daylight burn. So as I got older, I understood that get your ass up. He shaved 3 times a day with the big razors. As he got older, 2 times a day to the day he died, literally, because the last thing he did was he finished shaving before he passed away. 1996, 2015. Still drove, still cut the lawn. He shaved. Everything was by sequence. And that's how I watched the wrestling, the Monday Night Wars. He got mad at Hogan and The Rock and all them cheating. So, like you growing up in the military, I wasn't going to get in the military. I knew that straight up. But I learned that structure of get your ass up, 7 o'clock. If you slept to 8 a.m. in his house, which is right around the corner from my house, that was like sleeping to 12 noon. Get your ass up. Are you sick? Get up. Do what you got to do. You got the rest of the day. That's how he was. Get up, cook breakfast, make your bed. That's how we grew up because he was military. That's how it was. And
Get your work done.
yeah, get your work done. You got the rest of the day to chill. And that's as I got older, I found myself getting into that. If I sleep past 8:30, I know my body I'm getting sick because when you're young, you're like, look, I'm out of high school, like I'm going to sleep. You know how we was as kids, but they get ingrained in you since you was born. Law enforcement or just military, getting up 7 a.m., shaving, making up your bed, getting this done, doing this, getting in the house for the streetlights cut off. And as we talked about, that ingrains you and sets you up for life. So now, unless I'm sick, I'm up before 8:30. I gotta get up. Even if I'm just laying in the bed wide open or taking a shot or as we talk about to get shit done, that's just how we are. That's the respect for you, for us, how you are. That's just how it is. You just get grown up with that. And he did that literally. Yeah, my grandfather never was awake before 7 a.m. And he drank this medicine called 666. They don't make it no more. It's cold medicine. Look it up. Yellow bottle. I'll show it to you in a second. I'll show it to y'all. He drank a tablespoon a day. My grandfather never got sick, never had a cold. He went through World War II in the Pearl Harbor. Never got a cold. And when he passed away, he had that bottle. I still got it right in my house. I'll show it to you in a second. Well, later on in the interview, to this day.
And it was all about discipline.
Yep. I never
If,
seen him cry. None of that.
if there's a goal that you have set, I tell my guys all the time now because I'm in charge of a couple specialized units. Your motivation doesn't mean anything because motivation is going to be gone the first chance it gets. Right? It's discipline. Do I have the discipline to make a goal, to follow through with that goal, even when I'm not motivated to get it done? That's everything. And if it's worth getting done, you're going to have the discipline to do it. If it's not worth it to you, well, that's cool too. Figure out something else that is, but don't make excuses about I just don't feel like doing it. Nobody cares how you feel about doing it. It's did you get it done?
And repeat that what you said. You said motivation doesn't matter. You hear a lot of some people say, "Oh, you gotta have the motivation, and the drive, and you hustle." You
Nobody
just
ever
said,
motivation. People do things on discipline, but accomplishments are made on discipline. They're not made on motivation. Motivation is fickle. It's here today. I feel like working out today. Yeah, oh yeah. And then, okay, well, we're doing squats. Yeah, I don't know if I feel like doing squats. Don't matter because we're doing squats. So that's what we need to do, right? That's the thing that needs to be done to accomplish the goal. Motivation don't matter. Do you have the discipline to get it done right now in the moment?
and like you said, what I was taught, even sound weird in art class, getting my degree in art, one of my degrees. Motivation, that's an emotion,
Yes.
and as you taught in wrestling, law enforcement, motivation is emotion. You can feel one way 1 second, you can feel another way another. So basically, fuck your feelings. You can feel the way now. So motivation to come and go, as you just said, you know, you have that innate drive in you.
Yes.
You have the determination to get it done.
And
And
that's still young. By the time I'm getting people, if they don't have that in their 19, 20, 21 years old, and they don't have that in them, it's real hard to get it. That's built at a young age. That's built from watching my mom and my dad work in a boot factory and started a business on the side and then worked both of those full time, one at night, one in the morning, or going back and forth, switching it off, hand off the kid, all right now, and then just constantly working nose to the grindstone to get the job done. And I saw that, and that's what built that within me. There was no option to fail. Failure wasn't an option. Like it wasn't like, oh, okay, well this didn't work out. We move on to something. No, this has got to work out.
you find a way.
Yeah.
Now, with you saying that, let's preface to this of with the wrestling business, and we'll get to your professional wrestling career. Of you hear people that can separate. You have yourself as a lot of fans are now smart, and they say, okay, your work self. You wrestle, you come home, you can separate. Some people back in the day couldn't separate. Flair said it. Taker. Some people lived their character. The great Ric Flair. Rolex wearing, jet flying, limousine riding. That's him. He said, I don't even know who the fuck Richard Flair is. That's always going to be me. Taker, we done seen the most of Taker in the past 2-3 years. And Taker, we talked off air. That's second to me with Sting. Like, he's been him. And he's now becoming himself. You got to live your gimmick. And a bunch of people live the gimmick. As kids, we watched Kamala, and I knew him, rest in peace, and One Man Gang, and these big Bam Bam Bigelow, and shout out to Baron Von Roski, and these guys that were just like Ox Baker, that was just these big behemoths where that's what you saw. That was them. You didn't know who the fuck their name was. We had the damn internet then. We grew up without. We had Google. We have a damn computer. Now it's like, okay, what's their real name? James, Jonathan. You know.
What's their birthday? How many kids they got?
Yeah, how many kids they had? Right. Oh, they like eating their Shoney's, Applebee. We know that shit.
What's their
So,
contract? How much do they pay in tax? Yeah.
right. Then she signs it to the half lemon. So, growing up, that's what we saw. Is that emotional attachment. So with that is you being growing up with the military, with the law enforcement, how was that a challenge for you being a deputy sheriff currently, being a retired pro wrestler, getting into
Oh,
pro wrestling with your background with military, being a certified strength, conditioning coach, also being an exercise therapist, we'll get into later. How was it for you, the goods and the bads of separating your emotions?
so the emotions, I tell people all the time, it didn't work out for me in wrestling with this mentality. But my emotional state is, if most people are on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm usually between like a 4 and a 7. I'm never real happy. I'm never real sad, which made it real difficult in pro wrestling where you had to show like a huge gambit of emotions. I remember it was one of the WWE tryouts. I don't know if you guys have ever got into it. When I went up, they would put you in a room and there'd be a lineup. Like, I remember one lineup, I had Paul Heyman there, I had Dusty Rhodes there, I had a couple of the riders, had Matt Stryker off to the side, and there's a camera. The camera's not hooked up, it's just something to look at, right? And they said, all right, you got 1 minute, go. So you, as a wrestler, you have all this BS that you have up in your head about, oh, well, let me tell you something, brother, and all that horse crap, right? And they don't want to see that. What they wanted to see was you. So I remember specifically, I did one promo and they said, oh, well, Stryker took me off to the side and said, hey, try it like this. And he gave me a couple of pointers. I did one completely deadpan, but talking about how this is the greatest day of my life. Like almost, you guys know the comedian Stephen Wright?
Yes.
Kind of like that, like just the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Really like to thank all of you for having me here. I can't express to you how happy I am and how emotional this whole experience has made me. And do a whole minute like that, right? Just deadpan. I'm the happiest guy in the world. Don't you? I could do that. Like that one went all right. It was when it said, all right, now do it again, but like you won the lottery. I'm not a happy person. So I'm like, I'm not an overly happy person. I'm not the type of guy showing a whole lot of emotion. So I did it like I would actually do if I won the lottery. And it wasn't big enough for them. Everything in WWE is big, right? So I had talks with William Regal. He told me, your work is fine. Your look is great. We don't believe, I don't believe that you feel like you know who you are as a character. You're portraying what you think you want us to see, or what you think we want to see, but you're not being genuine to you. And it took me a long time. It actually took me retiring out of pro wrestling and getting into law enforcement to realize who that personality was. I didn't figure it out until I was already in law enforcement and out of wrestling. But by then, it was too late to get back into wrestling. And oh yeah, well this is who I am. Here's where my personality is. So it's kind of one of those things where my work was fine and my look was good, but I didn't have the personality on one side. And then when I finally figured that out, it was too late to go back.
I see. I see. Now you and I appreciate you being very candid with that and open
Yeah.
up. Talking with Regal, as we know, one of the greats. The world of sport, British style. We grew up with him, with Lord Steven Regal, the Blue Bloods, the York Foundation, uh, William Regal with WWE. We dare to say the man's man. Remember that? Dealing with that. AEW, the Blackpool Combat Plug, Combat Club. I'm sorry, I said plug, but Blackpool Combat Club. And then now back with WWE, which we know we can't see him physically due to contract obligations until I think maybe was it Saltine this year, next year. So y'all won't see William Regal, Steven Regal on air to WWE definitely to next year because of due to contracts. Definitely one of the greats. I always loved the Brits. I remember the other Steven Regal, as you know.
Yeah.
I remember Billy Robinson back in the day. You know, those guys. Dave Taylor, as we'll get into. Yes.
So,
Shout out shout out to those.
guys were all the British guys. And I'll be honest with you, I learned a lot from Regal. Every time you have an opportunity to sit down with William Regal, especially if any young pro wrestlers ever watch this, if you get the opportunity to sit down with Regal, do it. Like just soak everything in every time you get to talk to him, because he'll accidentally give you the most brilliant thing that you've ever heard. The guys, and a lot of them, the amount of knowledge that they have in pro wrestling is unheard of. William Regal, Dave Taylor, those are my two guys, as far as knowledge base. And I've told Dave, I've used more in law enforcement of what Dave taught me than anything else that I've ever used in law enforcement. But just holds wise, you get the nature of what I do. I get into a fair amount of just hand-to-hand fist fights. And 95% of the times I've had to fight, I've finished that fight with something Dave Taylor taught me.
Yeah, I love Dave Taylor, man. Look, you know where Marks is he say for Dave Taylor. I remember the Taylor Plex. I've used that in amateur wrestling in high school. The double underhook
Yeah.
suplex, you hold it with the with the pin, yes. So you talk to Dave, tell him I've used that in one matches amateurly in middle school, high school, and also in college with the Taylor Plex. That was his finishing move. People don't know that. People think Dave Taylor he wasn't a jobber. He was legit fuck you ass up. I
Like
remember,
East Germany,
yes,
that circuit back in the day, yeah.
yeah,
And
Dave,
you talk about genetics, that's in his blood. His father, his grandfather, everybody.
yes.
That's they were wrestlers. Right? So,
And we got to give a shout out to Fit. I know Fit isn't British, but like that Dave Taylor, his lineage, Regal. I think Fit's son is like fourth generation now, I believe.
Fit is a terrifying man. He's not a large stature as far as
He's
height.
solid. Yeah, he's like a brick.
He's solid, and he's like, you watch some of the old Fit Finley from the circuits over, and I want to say it was Germany, right? And just the little things he's doing, like
Yes.
fingers on people, just to
Fingers, the grabs. Yes.
all that stuff works. I've hooked some of that stuff up on just people getting disorderly. I work in a jail, right? So I'm dealing with 100% of my clientele are, at the very least, have committed a crime or been accused of committing a crime. A lot of them are violent, and I don't have weapons to deal with them. So I'm putting, in my situation right now, or when I was running housing units, I'm putting 80, 90 maximum security inmates in a room with no doors, and I'm having to run it. So if somebody gets out of hand, all that little Fit Finley and Dave Taylor, those little holes, so we call them sugar holes back in the day. Yeah, all that works.
Yeah, that shit worked. Shout out to Fit, man. I
And you learn
love
how to
Fit.
cut a promo real quick.
You love the Fit. Dave, William Regal, Steven Regal, Billy Robinson, um, the current guys, the Walter, Gunther, Dragunov, the NXT UK guys, like how they manipulate hands and wrists. Because being an amateur wrestler, you learn. Yeah, I was, being interviewed Kurt Angle and Dan Gable and interviewing was the Saltine Mark Schultz, with Foxcatcher, because sadly David passed away. We learned when you amateur wrestle, you control the wrist, you control the body. So you control the wrist, you deal with the hands and the moves. So in pro wrestling now, people say, "Oh, it's fake." It's not fake. It's choreographed, predetermined. But what's going on in the ring? So you grab somebody's wrist and you manipulate their hands and their shoulders. Your ass going down. I don't care how big you are. I've seen it.
The best is you learn how the body moves.
Yes.
Like if this is going to cause this down the arm, and so now if I need to make it more effective or less effective, if you're working with me, great. We're going to make this look great. I'm like, if you're not working with it and I got to apply a little bit of pressure, it can look exactly the same on my end, but it's going to look completely different on your end. But it's just knowing where these little pressures apply, how it's going to maneuver the body around. It's invaluable with what I do now. Never thought that pro wrestling set up my career in law enforcement so much better than any class I've ever taken in law enforcement. But I've learned more life lessons in pro wrestling than anywhere else.
So if you think about it, we watch it. We'll get to Halloween is passing. We'll get to horror movies and Halloween. If you look at martial arts films, Halloween, all background with collegiate wrestling, pro wrestling. If you notice, if you grab a male or a female by the wrist or by a finger, and by my training and my background in training, your background, Lars, Saltine, being a former pro wrestler, once you grab a motherfucker's finger or wrist, what did he do? They drop down. They could be 8 feet, 7 feet, 7 feet. They grab a wrist, what they do? They drop down. You see it. It affects, like you said, the body movements of how it works as you see the Finleys of how they work the fingers. Regal, Dave Taylor's like working the fingers. You drop down. Dragunov, Gunther, fingers, manipulating it. I don't care. You could be 20 pounds heavier than me. You snap a damn finger. You mess up a wrist. You contort it. You going down because it's your body just reacting to it, as opposed to you punch your eye or you stick an ear. That's how it is. And you know that in law enforcement, we're training with guns and hand movements. John Wick. We work with the guy who trains with John Wick. All that shit. And you drop down.
Yeah, it's a lot of what I teach guys now because I'm a trainer for it now. Some of it may hurt, some of it may not, because we're dealing with guys they're on drugs, they're been drinking all night, whatever. So you may get pain compliance. Cool, if you do, awesome. Leverages are key. Like you can't outdrink or out smoke physics. So if guys get leverage on you, you're going to the ground. It may hurt, it may not. You may find out 2 days later when you wake up that it hurt a lot. But leverage is always work. That's what I teach a lot of guys, just leverage.
How is, and we'll go back to your wrestling.
Yeah.
What was your mindset with going from professional wrestling into being a deputy sheriff?
That was one of those I kind of backed my way into. I never grew up with the mindset of I'm going to be the police. That was never the overall goal for me. I see a lot of kids now coming in, and I've sat on hiring boards where, all right, well, why do you want to do this? Oh, it's all I've ever wanted to do. Cool, but that was never me. I quit wrestling. 2016 was my last match. Quit wrestling on TV on 2015. I had one match in 2016 with a buddy of mine. But 2015, I finish up with NWA Anarchy. They go off. We're in the main event. It's like an 8-man cage match, just chaos, blood. It was awful. It was fun. I had a good time, but it was messy. Finish up, and I'm still a strength coach, and I've got a client her husband was a retired police officer. He's like, man, you're big enough. You got the size. You got the ability. You should go apply over here. It's kind of. I was doing a little bit of private security work, like contract security in Atlanta, which is not a good job to get into. Like, well, I'm getting shot at an awful lot for no benefits, so I should probably go at the very least get paid and get some benefits over here at the sheriff's office. Filled out an application. They hired me. And then it started in the jail. At the time I was watching a lot of like Criminal Minds and stuff, so I thought I was going to go out and be a detective and like chase serial killers. And you find out real quick that's not what 99% of this job is not that. But got into the jail and just started learning. The only thing I knew I wanted to do was work on the gang unit. I didn't know what that entailed. I had no idea what it was, but I knew I wanted to do that. That was the only plan I had getting into law enforcement, was gaining it.
Listen, so I can definitely see how that definitely control, definitely, convealed to that. Now you transfer that from being pro wrestling and law enforcement too. Do you feel more satisfied currently how you are now, being in law enforcement as opposed to you being a retired pro wrestler before we get to your pro wrestling career?
I wouldn't say more satisfied or less satisfied. Um, it's very important to me. It always has been important to be happy with where you are. A lot of my mindset is, if I'm not happy now with where I am, the next step isn't going to make me happy, because happiness is a choice. Satisfaction is a choice.
Right.
I've got food. I've got a house. I'm content. Now, can I make things better, or can I strive for a goal? Yes, but be happy with where is important to me. Be happy with where I am now, and then if there's other things I want to do those things. But I've never been a big believer in the next thing will make me happy. The next job will make me happy. The next, if I move to this town, I'll be happier than if I'm staying here. No, that's all on me. That's not on the next place. That's not on the next. Not on. Oh, if I get this girl, then I'll be happy with that girl as opposed to the one I'm with now. Like, no, that's you have what you have. Be happy with what you have.
In the present, right?
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And that also goes to back to your training with the military, law enforcement, of having a plan and just say, this is what we deal with right now. Take that, be happy with it, and with what we happy with now, we'll go on to the next day and the next task, and embrace what we have now.
So if I don't wake up, if I go to bed tonight and I don't wake up tomorrow, then what good did it make all this time being unhappy and only looking towards the future? No, I have what's in front of me. I have what I have right now, and that's all I'm guaranteed. So why would I be unhappy about what I don't have? That doesn't make any sense. There's always going to be something I don't have.
Right. And that's understandable because we can't have everything. That's a good point. You, as we talk to the dogs, we'll switch up the dynamics of this. Zeus and Lucky.
Ducky, yeah.
Now you had three dogs. What's the third dog name?
So Zeus is the pit lab mix. Ducky is the raw, like Ducky from Land Before Time.
Uh-huh. I have that VHS still.
And then Tyson is the other pit. His
So
name is Tyson, because he was supposed to be like short and stocky,
uh-huh.
and he's none of that. All he got from Mike Tyson's personality.
So Tyson, Ducky, and Zeus.
Yeah.
What professional wrestler, past or present, would you compare them to for as personalities?
Ooh.
We do our research here. UTMR, I told you that. We do. And I have Land Before Time VHS still in the basement as a kid. Sharp teeth, little foot. I no.
Yeah, Tree and Ducky. Yeah,
Yes.
it's personality, because she's just happy to be here. It's just yep. Yeah, what are we doing next? That's Ducky.
Okay.
So what was the question? What wrestler?
What wrestler, past or present, would be identical to your personality of your dogs? Ducky, Zeus, and the third one.
Oh, so I would say Tyson. Tyson is Taker.
Taker. Okay.
Tyson's not going to show any emotion. Tyson is going to walk into the room real slow, and then when it's time to go, he's there to go. But other than that, he's going to stand off to the side. He's going to be quiet. He's not going to get involved in anything. until it's go time. So Tyson
is Taker.
Let's see. Zeus. I'm trying to think of a chicken shit heel for Zeus, because Zeus he's a runaway at all costs type of. Zeus is Jim Cornette.
Cornette. Okay, we love Corny.
Zeus is corny.
We love Corny.
Yeah, he may get involved. He may take a bump, but he's going to talk a lot.
JJ, Corny, JJ Dillon, my good buddy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And Ducky's Sting, man. Ducky's life of the party. Ducky's here to have a good time and kick ass.
You said Sting?
Yeah.
He's
Surfer Sting. Not
Surfer Sting. I'm about to say, you gotta go in detail. Surfer Sting. Thank you, babe. My wife just served me a drink. Come here, babe. Say hi.
I saw her. She for a second. She appeared like a ghost.
Yeah, she just did Sting. Right on time. My wife just did a Sting. She just appeared random with my glass. Look, he got a glass of from reserve, babe. We just said Sting. His dog was like, Sting, he just appeared out the shadows. She did a crow Sting, but you talking about your dog being Surfer Sting. Like,
drop down and zip right back out.
This is what my wife showed real quick. Y'all didn't see her, but this is the evidence. On these shadows. I'm about to now. You can't even hear. She like Sting and Undertaker. Look, here we go. Let's take a sip together. Here we go. Right here. You got Woodford.
I got top off there.
You're topping it off. Here you go. All right, got you, brother. That is good. I don't know what my wife just made. It's good. We got a bar at the house. I said, babe, can you make me something? And she just text me a creepy ass smiley emoji, and she's like a mixologist, so. So that's cool, man.
You're living all right.
I understand that.
Yeah, mixologist.
So with that, let's talk about you. We always switch it up here. We'll get back to wrestling. We always talk about wrestling here. You being a golf enthusiast.
Yeah.
Now, with me being an African American black man, you being a Caucasian white man.
Wait, what?
You being a white man, Caucasian, as they call it, or what have you. You love it.
All right.
You loving golf. I'm preference this.
Yeah.
You being white, me being black. You loving golf, right? That ain't all sport. So besides Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Arnold Palmer, we want you to mention 5 top golfers that are not those guys that everybody knows.
You want guys like right now that are top? Or
anybody in history besides Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Arnold Palmer. You being white, me being black, because we gonna say them guys. We all know them. You being a golf enthusiast, that's what you said you are.
So I mean, if you're going all time, you got to mention Jack Nicklaus, 8 more majors than anybody. Ben Hogan and Walter Hagen, Bobby Jones. Those are names going back, but those are kind of like the godfathers of it, right? Those are your Gorgeous George and your Buddy Rogers and those Bruno Sammartino. Those are those guys. You get into today, Brooks Koepka is killing it. He won two out of the 4 majors this last year. Rory is always up there.
Sing.
I'm a big, he hadn't won a lot lately. I love the swing of Jason Day. Just watching him. I like smooth swings, and Jason Day's got a really smooth swing to him. It's not quite as aggressive. John Rahm is kind of the opposite. He's real short swing, real aggressive, getting after it. But I mean, shoot, the guy right now, as far as distance, is Bryson DeChambeau. It may be the ugliest swing. It looks like a robot is swinging. But this dude he shot a 58 It's ungodly what he's doing right now. He's the type of guy though that's real methodical. He's very scientific with everything. So he knows. He takes out a ruler, like a straight edge ruler, out onto the green, so that he knows how far back and how far forward it is for every different distance.
Wow. Well, you done named about 8-9 people, man, and I love that. And I'll just challenge you in your enthusiasm. You say golf enthusiast. So, like, look, us being different cultures, we all know Tiger Woods, Arnold Palmer, Phil Mickelson. I know about Jack Nicklaus, but I know about Ben Hogan, but you named some other names that I knew of, some I'd never heard of. Just so you can let the viewers know, your shit. What's the golfer Singh? What's his name? BJ Singh.
BJ Singh. Is he South African, I think? But there's a couple of guys that are just absolutely insane right now.
Just so the viewers know, you being an enthusiast, you can name names that people may not know out of the common, like with wrestling, Hogan and The Rock and Stone Cold, but you name other people's like, hey, I know my shit. These are these guys. This is why I love them.
Yeah.
And we just recently went to Top Golf, I believe a month or so ago. My dad is a big golf fan, and Baltimore City Copper, so many years. I didn't realize how tough golf was. You just trying to hit that puck. And it's like you trying to go up and go down. It's like, oh, I just did the little cheap way. And you realize how much time it is, how much the rotation, holding your hands, just the body movement, the body control. That's so much
If
that
you're
goes
off
with
by a millimeter on some of these swings, and you got to think, if you got a fast swing speed, the thing's moving through at the club head at 100 miles an hour, 110. Some of these guys getting up to 125 miles an hour at club head speed. And if their hand is here versus here versus here, it's completely different. If it hits a couple millimeters in one direction or the other, you're going to have a completely different ball flight, higher, lower. You're dealing with such a minute amount of opportunity to miss. That's why my guy is Ernie Els. I grew up in the 90s. Ernie Els he's about 6'3", 230, 240, and it looks like he is barely swinging it, but it's effortless. That's what I love about it. But for me, when I got out of wrestling, I'm not doing strength sports. I'm not going to be a power lifter, competitive. I'm not going to be a competitive strongman. For me, it was counterintuitive. I swing more consistent and slower. I have a better flight than if I try to just rip it and send it. It never goes well if I just swing as hard as I can. It's about stepping back from it, taking everything in at the time that I have it. I can make all these plans. If I'm going to hit it here, and then I'm going to hit it there, and then I'm going to get onto the green in 3, and I'm going to. If I don't hit this first shot, none of those other plans matter. It's about what you have in front of you. That's what I loved about it. Getting into it.
That's awesome. I never even thought about it like that until you mentioned it. That's why you're the golf enthusiast. Another question here with golf. How did you get into golf? Also, why does the commentators whisper so low with golf, but talk so loud with baseball? And we talk, but our background. I grew up loving baseball and wrestling. You got a ball coming at you 90 to 100 miles per hour, and everybody yelling, ah! And golf is just like, mumbles and all that tender voices and what have you. So this explain that.
So I got into golf. I played in high school. I didn't play competitively in high school, but just me and my dad would go out. We lived on the backside of this rural golf course, like 9 holes, and we just ride out and start playing. Right? So I grew up playing a little bit, and then got out of it. And then after my competitive wrestling career and strength sports, I'm like 36 now. I got back into golf when I was 34, but it's like your body starts breaking down. I need something to be competitive with, because I'm competitive with myself. Everything's With golf, it wasn't. I'm not competing with the other person. I'm competing against myself, and I'm competing
Yes.
against the course.
Yes.
So the course is a par 72. My job is to beat 72. So I'm always playing against the course. As far as why they're talking, like the announcers may be able to be heard by the players, depending on where they're at. It's one of those, these guys get so focused in that any outside distraction, if a leaf blows, they're picking it up. Like that's how guys are. So that's one reason. Another one is just baseball, football, golf, pro wrestling. The announcers they're us, right? The announcer is there to be the spectator. So it's their job to build the ambiance around it, right? You think about Jim Ross, Gordon Soley with pro wrestling.
Let them guys.
We're living through those guys, right? You know,
We
Stone
live
Cold,
through them, right?
something like that. I grew up as a WCW guy, and Bobby Heenan. Like I'm living through Bobby Heenan, watching this.
Tony Schiavone, yeah, Ventura. Yeah.
So the golf commentators are doing the same thing. They're showing the reference to the player and the respect to the player, but at the same time, they are being what we wish we could be. They're sitting there watching it. So they're building the environment around it for us.
You know, with you explaining that, Lars, that makes sense because at first I grew up wrestling and playing baseball. So I've been hitting my face with a baseball. I know, you know, I have. That's when I realized what eternal bleeding was, right in my cheek. So I love baseball. I love pro wrestling. So, you know, wrestling is, you know, it's like Jim Ross, who a friend of our show. We've interviewed him multiple times, and Gordon Soley and Shivani, Ventura, Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, Vince. Oh, what a maneuver! You know all that stuff.
It's gotta be Kane. Right?
It's gotta be Kane. I'm not gonna make Ric Flair kill my creation. You know, you hear that stuff, right? My voice probably gonna be fucked up tomorrow. So you hear Vince is like, you know, Vince is like, oh, leave me alone, Vince. Leave me alone, Brett. Brett screwed Brett. You know, you it's the emotion because you drive off of that as a wrestler, you drive off of the emotion. In baseball, you got a fucking ball 90 miles per hour hitting it, but they can't hear you because they're in the opponent. Shout out, I love Joe Buck, to the late great Joe Morgan, to all the commentators, you know, the World Series now, the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. Shout out to my Orioles. We love the Orioles, but they're away. So when I started doing the mini golf shit and the top golf I just did, I understood it where I was competitive with myself. I got a nerve condition. So, and at the couple shots, I'm trying to hit the fucking ball 40 damn yards, and I'm getting mad at myself. And I can get why the commentators are like, oh, you know, the par four, whatever. I know it is a par four, the par three, and whatever the fuck that means. I get it because you know the there's so much goes into every swing. It's like when as we saw firearms and you shooting a rifle, as we've done. If you shoot a gun, the wind, how you breathe, how you move, your fingertips. So now I'm like, I get it. Now I see why they whispering so damn low with Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson or Singh and Jan and the other people you mentioned. No offense. The ball, because they're right there. So
they're right there, and they are our eyes. They're our eyes. They're our ears. They're explaining what's happening to the viewer. Everything that we can't see, because all we can see is what they're showing us on television. They've got to build everything else around it. That's what I love about good commentary. It doesn't matter what it is. My only problem with Joe Buck is I'm a Royals guy. I grew up
yes.
2 hours out of the city, so I'm a Royals fan.
Excuse me.
Joe Buck comes from the 2014 World Series against the Giants.
Yes.
With Matt Bumgarner like throwing a .26 ERA for that last game and just demolishing us like it was a video game. And all I can hear when I think about that game is Joe Buck talking about Madison Bumgarner. Madison Bumgarner. Oh, you stop saying his name. You're conjuring the witch.
Yes. Oh, by the way, just to fuck with you, who did the Kansas City Royals beat in the American League Championship Series to get to the World Series that year? Who was that, Lars?
Was it Baltimore?
The Baltimore the Baltimore Orioles. So shout out to that right there for watching that.
I'm a Nick Markakis guy. I've got some connections with roundabout with Markakis down here in
Yeah,
Atlanta.
I love Nick Markakis, man. Shout out to Nick Markakis, man. Look, that series was so great and it was so nail biting because if I'm right, I think I think y'all swept us. Did they sweep with Saltine? Was it 3-0? Was it 4-1? And every game was like 1 run or two. It was so close.
Yeah.
But that's how tight the teams were.
Close. When we can't get back there, we're just not built for bringing the players in. So for us, it's got to be like you just got to hit it at the exact right time where you've got all the right players and they're under a certain amount on the contract. And it's a perfect storm for us to do anything.
You look, man, and I gotta bring this up, brother. You know that we already connected. We talked on the phone for over an hour off air. I gotta mention George Brett. You know I got to Kansas Royals. George Brett. Give me your thoughts on it. George Brett is a legend, and also the Pine Tar incident.
Some guy, and it kills me to say this because if I'm a Royals guy, I'm also a Chiefs guy, right?
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Bo Jackson.
Yes.
Bo Jackson, the man.
Yes.
Playing for and Bo Jackson, the devil, playing for the Raiders. And you love Bo during baseball season and you hate Bo during football season. And sometimes there was a span there where it's like week for week. Like I love him this week, but the next week you couldn't root for him. You love him, but
right.
The Raiders are awful. You can't go for the Raiders.
I got something for you, brother, to show you.
Yeah.
Trying to get to it real quick. Stuff be sticking real quick. Saltine, you good? You can say something, brother. I know you've been on mute for a while.
Okay, now I'm here. All right. There's a question I want to ask you, dealing
Yeah.
with law
I gotta show him this. You see
Okay,
this?
yeah, please show.
You see this?
Yeah. That's was that like a 90 Donruss or 89 Donruss?
Yep. George Brett.
Yeah.
I pulled it out for you, brother. That was in the archives of us.
I got one of those out in the garage, I think. Got a bunch of old cards out there.
Go on, Saltine.
All right. Something about law enforcement I always want to ask you because you've been in the military and law enforcement.
Yeah.
Have you ever been into any dangerous encounters or been into action packed encounters?
Yeah, so as far as gunfights, I've only been shot at once. And that was actually I wasn't in law enforcement or military. It's when I was doing a little bit of contract security work in Atlanta, and ended up in a spot where me and my partner end up on the other side of two gangs shooting at each other, and we're taking rounds on the other side. So it's gang one, gang two, and then me and my partner over here. And we're about 8 minutes into our shift. We're doing just a foot patrol. And he's a former Marine, a good buddy of mine. He's out in Seattle now. So we're walking around. We're about 5 feet apart from each other, 5, 6 feet apart. And we hear pop, 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 pop. I was like, dude, was that what I think it was? Pop, 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 pop. And then we start hearing the rounds buzzing between us. Right. So, my phone's going dead. So we start hearing the rounds buzzing between us. I call it an active shooter. Get down to where we need to be as far as we kind of know where it's coming from. We respond to it. And if it end up being some I don't know what gang it was, but they were shooting at some bloods that had tagged up a house. We were catching rounds on the other side of the house. Other than that, in the jail I've been in, I'd say 7 what could have been deadly force encounters to various degrees. So it's one of those, like, you know what you're getting into, you train for it, you do the best you can, and hopefully you can get everybody out without getting hurt. And so far, you know, knock on wood, every one of those I've been in, I didn't get hurt, my guys didn't get hurt, and I didn't have to hurt the suspect. Too bad.
Thank you for that answer.
Deadly force encounters in the jail, though, I mean, you're doing it with your hands, so you don't have the gun. I mean, it's right here, right? So it's intense.
Now, you being so honest about your answers, we definitely enjoy with that. Don't worry, fans. We'll get to the pro wrestling in a second. You mentioned about law enforcement in close counters.
Yeah.
What are your top 5 pop culture icons with guns? When you think about firearms, think about guns in general. You think about movies or TV. Who's the top 5 people you think about? Could be a human, could be a cyborg, a ninja, android.
All
I don't
called
look into like movie guys all that much. I look at guys who are spreading information. Like, social media is huge right now, right? Coleon Noir is awesome because he comes at it from an attorney's perspective. He's a big two-way guy. He was NRA for a little bit. I don't think he's affiliated with NRA now, but he has that ability. One, you know, it's sad that it's like this in the community, but he's a black dude, right? So he's second A or 2A for black guys, like black men, black women, which is huge because for some reason there's a disconnect there. I mean, it's kind of, it is what it is in the culture, but that disconnect needs to kind of solidify out, right? So he's huge for it. And another guy who's on that same line, he's a little bit more liberal than what I typically am, but Killer Mike. Killer Mike is huge gun activist. He's here in Atlanta. I love what he does with Second Amendment for the community in that sense. He's got a video out about every family should own 5 guns, and he goes out to line out what those 5 guns are. A couple other guys that they get more into the self-defense stuff. I like Warrior Poet. He's pretty religious, and sometimes he kind of goes off on the religious tangent more than just the Second Amendment stuff. That's who he is. He's staying true to who he is. So cool. Good on him. James Yeager was really good as far as knowledge base. I love Clint Smith, Thunder Ranch. Clint Smith is the Vietnam, I think. Just old school, like gravelly voice. He's like that old grandfather that's just hard nosed. I kind of I like that aspect of him. So Clint, and he knows a ton, but his mindset is it's all about the fight. Like he's not approaching it too fancy and pretty. It's all mentality towards the fight. I like Clint Smith for that.
Great names. You definitely answered. You definitely answered us, and to the fans listening to this and viewing this, he probably great for them because it's educational. Because they may not have heard those names you mentioned. They can look them up. Lars said to plug up his phone. Are you an Android user, Lars, or iPhone?
I'm currently an iPhone. I'm still running on the 12 Pro. I think come January, that new Samsung 24 Ultra dropping. I think that's going to be one ahead on. So
what you're saying is you're going to go from the iPhone to Apple to the Android.
Yeah. I don't have brand loyalty. It's just kind of whatever's best at the time.
I understand it. My daughter is we're Android family. My daughter is Android, but she had to switch over to iPhone only because it was better for the family plan. Uh, I got friends of mine that are straight Apple. Shout out to Wonder Wheat and Slump. I'm more of an Android guys. I know how to use an iPhone. I get to use iPhones professionally, but I'm an Android fan. So whatever works best for you. But I will say, as an IT professional over 20 plus years, if you are not using your computer for any type of visual aid, any type of production, photos, you don't need a Mac. Use the damn desktop. Use a PC. It's too much damn work for us as IT people to fix your shit. Using a damn Mac, iMac, and you're just doing data entry. Get a damn cheap ass Dell with HP. Yeah, I'm speaking on it because I had to do this shit for a year. Company, I'm not gonna mention their name. The whole call center had 150 people using the damn iMac. All you're doing is data entry. What the fuck do you need an iMac for? Use the damn PC. You're not doing Photoshop or Illustrator or Adobe. I got trained in that. If y'all was building stuff or making pictures and all that other shit, then you need an iMac. And I have nothing against Apple. Apple does amazing shit. So does PC in some areas. But if all you doing is typing this shit and hitting enter and saving a document, you don't need a fucking Mac. Use a desktop. Use a PC.
It crosses over a lot better too.
Yes.
All the video editing and stuff like that. All I learned on was PC. College. I was a PR and mass comm major in college. That's what my degrees are in. Everything was, we used PC, but we used Avid for the video editing.
Yes.
It was, yeah.
I'm very familiar with that. Right. Is if you had to use PC for quick photo stuff and editing, it's software I could tell you. I'm not going to say on air. I'm not going to promote them. I could tell you professionally where to go if you just need some shit quick to do. But as Lars said it, I said it, Saltine background said it, we've all said it. We're not against Mac. We're not against Android or PC. But depending on the kind of job you do, you use one thing or the other. And I had one of my degrees, I'm a art major. So I've used both. So I had friends that use interior design and car design and doodads and all that shit with the curtains and the house and the walls and you need a Mac for that shit. Don't use a PC. But you ain't doing that. Use a fucking PC. You doing data entry. You know what I mean? You had more trust to us. You know what I mean? And speaking of adding stress, let's go to Lars as we segue as we're professionals. Fastlane 2015.
Yeah.
Adding stress. You got Lars Manderson here, good guy, supporter of the Second Amendment. He's a vet in the Air Force. This man know how to shoot, how to fuck you up. He's a wrestler, loves bourbon, which we will get to, loves barbecue, which we will get to. He's a dog lover. And then he got to deal with unnecessary stress of going to the E, to the WWE, as we grew up with WWF. And if you owe this shit, it was WWWF when Vince had black hair and was interviewing with Argentino Rocket. Yeah, I'm going way back in the day.
Wow.
Fastlane 2015. If you don't know, you can Google this shit. You probably are now as we on air as as you're listening live currently or listening now, archived on YouTube. Fastlane 2015. Why is that significant? Our man Lars was a part of this pay-per-view. It was a pay-per-view then. It wasn't a PLE as they call them, Saltine. What they call them, public live events. It's not pay-per-views no more, whatever the fuck that means.
Premier live
Yeah,
events.
Premiere. Oh, it's Premiere Live. Okay. Fastlane 2015. What was you doing in 2015? It was years ago.
Well, I mean, for the most of the day, I was eating catering.
Lars was eating catering. And this pay-per-view had to go. Undertaker.
Go there, stay out of the way, and be present when you're needed. No, so I got a really cool opportunity. Every time I've gone to WWE has been it's been a unique experience because I did tryouts. I never got signed. I didn't sign the contract. But I always came away with something significant or something that a lot of stuff I use today, right? Before I get to the fast lane, my very first WWE tryout, 2011. I'm in St. Louis. At I can't remember what arena St. Louis is. I'm a year and a half, 2 years in, have no business being there. Don't know what I'm doing. And I look off to the right. This is something I tell everybody, right? So I look off to the right, and there's Taker standing by himself next to an equipment cart. Right? 2 years in, this is the guy to talk to, right? Undertaker. So I go up and I introduce myself, very, as you do in pro wrestling, you shake their hand. So, sir, my name's Larry, and obviously I'm looking to get a job. What advice do you have for me? Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm trying to go. Type of deal. Taker took 10, 15 minutes with me one-on-one. And he didn't have to do that at all. He could have told me to fuck off. Right? He's Undertaker. He's the guy. He's a legend. Right? Outside of Vince, Taker is the guy. Didn't do that at all. He said very, very polite, very generous with his time, sat down, talked to me, gave me some advice. The biggest thing I took from that was the lack of ego that guy had. There's never going to be a point in my life where I can have an ego that's going to exceed that, right? Like, take the time, teach the younger kids coming up what they need to know to be successful, but leave the ego at the door. The ego's there to display on television when you need it, but Taker was not. If he wasn't the guy to show it, I'm never going to be the guy to show it. That was my very first introduction to WWE. Fast forward to 2015, it's my last year in wrestling. We're in Memphis, FedEx Arena. That one I do remember. And I got lucky because I was one of the druids that they dress up in the costume with the hood and everything. We're doing a deal. It looks like Undertaker. It's actually Bray Wyatt. Bray's going to be in the casket. We carry the casket down, but I remember specifically, and we talked about this off the air. There's never been a feeling that has matched me being in that arena. The lights go out, and you start hearing that like chant, like that Gregorian chant for Undertaker. They have a little bit of lightning going around. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it right now. Bunch of my friends, a guy that I had my very first match with is there, Sean Schultz. He's there with me. We're just kind of one of those relationships that we kind of intertwined throughout my career. He's there. He's one of the guys carrying the torches. They line up the aisleway, and everybody in the arena is kind of building, right? The lights have gone out. There's electricity coming over the top. The druids are coming out with the torches, and they've made a canopy over the top, and you can just feel this energy. And then the gong hits, and the place erupts. There's no other feeling in wrestling that I've ever been a part of. As a fan, as a participant, that gong hits and everybody's up on their feet. And we start to walk the casket out slowly. Taking it in, it's one of those moments where it's like, man, it doesn't get better than this. I'm never going to have this experience again. So we're walking it out, hit the corner, going towards the ring. And it was a surreal experience for me. Because on the one hand, I'm a druid, I'm carrying the casket. for the Undertaker. It's not Taker, it's Bray. The fans don't know that. The fans are reacting like it's the Undertaker. And on the other hand, I have an earpiece. And in that earpiece is Billy Kidman in the back. The Kidman is the producer for this segment, I guess. So I've got the music, I've got the crowd, I've got the casket in my hand. I'm walking the casket, and all I'm hearing in my left ear is Billy Kidman. Don't you fuck this up, kid. Millions of people are watching you. Don't you fuck it. You're going too slow. You're going too slow. Speed up. Why are you going so fast? Slow down. Slow down. Just fucking with me the whole time. And my biggest fear is at the end of this ramp, there's a little bit of a lip where the padding comes up, and you have to kind of take the casket and you lift it up a little bit and move it without it looking like you just hit a lip, because you want everything to look smooth. You know what's coming, kid. You know what's coming. You hit that lip. Like, and you can't say anything. He can't hear you anyways. You're like, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to be serious here. So on the one hand, I got the Undertaker full experience, and then the letdown of the crowd when I open up the lid of the casket and Bray comes out with that shit-eating grin, and everybody in the arena is now booing us. And then I got Billy Kidman in the other ear, just ribbing me the entire time.
That's amazing. You shout out to my man Kitty Man, Billy Kidman, WCW legend, WWE producer. Did you listen to him? Did you go faster? Did you go slower? Or did you say, man, fuck it?
I've been doing it long enough. I kept the exact same pace because I knew you never saw the ring.
Now, when you got past the lip,
yeah,
what happened after you got past the curtain?
So we get him to the ring. We open up the casket. He cuts his promo. Close the casket back down. They go dark, which is, they go to commercial. Get him backstage. And Bray grew up in the business, right? He's got Wyndham, Blackjack Mulligan, his dad, Mike Rotunda, all that. Like that's his family, right? He knows his business. He's one of the boys. And I was telling you, I have a lot more respect for the guys who are part of the boys. Like, if you got into the business to be an actor, if you got into the business to make it big, good on you, but that's not really what we're here for. We're here for wrestling. We're here for this experience and this brotherhood. So we get him backstage, open up the casket, and Bray hated being in that casket that day. Like, it was freaking him out. He's kind of like anxious to backstage. He jumps out of the casket and gives me the biggest bear hug. Just, oh my God, brother, thank you so much. That was fucking awesome. But like he's so appreciative of everything. He understands what it takes from, we're nobody. I'm a faceless druid. But he understands that it takes that person to make this happen. And it could have been anybody else. I was fortunate enough for it to be me. But it takes everybody. It takes the camera guy. It takes the people putting the lighting up. Like the spectacle of the entire thing is not just Undertaker. It's not just Bray Wyatt. It's not just Vince McMahon. It's everybody coming together for this. He understood that. It was. I can't imagine what it looked like from the outside. It's this large, bearded guy from the bayou getting out and hugging a ghost, basically. But it's one of those moments. It's very surreal, very, very much one of those things I can take with me, especially now, all things considered. Just very, very appreciative to have been able to have that moment.
That's amazing. We gotta ask you, the fortunate news of Bray passing earlier this year. How did you take it?
It's unfortunate. I didn't know Bray well, but it was more that was a
spring.
thing, right? it catches you off guard if you're not privy to what was going on beforehand. Like at that point, I'm watching like anybody else. He's off for a little bit, he's back on for a little bit, he's off for a little bit, and so you don't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, he dies. And the bad thing about it is for us on the inside is your first mind, or the first place your mind goes as one of the boys. And again, I don't know him. Was it drugs? Was it alcohol? Did he suicide? Because unfortunately that's taken a lot of our guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunate circumstances.
Right. Right.
The bad word, but it's the nature of it. So I've been through a couple of them at that point. Between personal feelings aside, for a lot of people, I never had a bad experience with Matt Bourne. Matt Bourne hit me hard. He was the first big name that came up to me and said that he was a fan of my work.
Don't the clown. Just to preface the fans that may not know. Yeah, the original Doink.
So Matt was the first guy that came up and said, I'm a big fan of your work. I'm going to watch your matches from now on. He could have been blowing smoke up my ass. As a young kid, that doesn't matter. Matt Bourne just said this to me, right? I was real fortunate early on in my career to have learned a little bit and talked with Steve Williams, Dr. Death, out in Colorado.
Wow.
And he's one of those who pulled me off to the side. No, it's my fourth match ever. He pulled me off to the side. You're a big guy. Here's how you set up. And he starts teaching me. Like, just takes it upon himself. My biggest influence and the one that hit me the hardest was Bobby Eaton.
Yes. Yeah. Shout out. Shout out to Bobby.
Bobby.
Yes. Love Bobby.
You get to the point, and there's guys who can speak on this way better than I can, and unfortunately more frequently than what I can. But you hear about this, and that's the first place your mind goes. Bobby was a different situation because
he was sick, yeah,
illnesses and things that he had.
Yeah.
So Bobby was struggling for a little while, but it doesn't make it any easier. You always think you're going to see him again. You always think you'll have another chance to take the picture. Hey, Bobby, come. I was lucky. I got my pictures with Bobby, but you always think you're going to see him, and sometimes you don't.
It's true, brother. You know, the shout out to Bobby and to Bray. You know, to those we lost, that people realize you being one of the boys in the ring, being a wrestler, us being in professional media over a decade of, you get to know the boys and the girls personally. You talk to them, you interview them, you hang out with them, after parties, nightclubs, bars. You know how it is. Backstage.
Vice, surprisingly.
Yeah, Vice. Just talking at your car, taking shots, talking, eating. You know how it is. On the phone, random. Hey, brother, you good? You okay? They become family. So when you have the Terry Funks and the Braves and the Bobby Eatons and to the my man my good personal friend Bobby Fulton, brother Bobby, Tommy Rogers. When Tommy Rogers passed away, he passed away of choking on a tasty cake, a little Debbie. And I called Bobby Fulton the day after. You know, just so people realize, like, you build that relationship with the boys and the girls. And you're saying girls too, it's not just the guys, but just the girls, the Medusas, the late rest in peace Sherry Martels, the other women that you meet.
And a Vashon for me.
Harley was one of those for me that hit hard. Harley I never went to Harley school per se, but Harley's crew and I we were always intermingling through the Midwest. Right. So I met Harley and his wife BJ real early on in my career at the camp, the 2008 camp with Noah and WWE. And Harley was, you want to talk about guys who live the gimmick? Harley was Harley all the time. Like that's how he talked. That's how he lived.
Yeah.
Like, I remember coming back from shows and Harley's driving like 120 down a back road. I'm like, this guy's a legend. Every story about him has got to be true. And you have, just weird conversations that are just one-offs. And Harley had that real distinct voice.
Yeah, that raspy voice. Yeah.
Nobody sounds like Harley. He comes out and he sees the tattoo on my arm, so family crest.
Tattoo.
He starts showing me his tattoo and his peacock. I got this peacock every night.
Yeah.
You're a Harley Grace. That nice tattoo. Where did you get that? Like just over enunciating everything.
Yes.
Like,
Oh man, yeah, look, Harley. I say this, man. Try to shed a tear. We never got a chance to meet Harley. We got to interview him before he passed, and not making this about us at all, but and Harley had to mean something for Punk, seeing Punk to take a shot. Punk is straight edge, and I think Punk took a shot. I don't know what he took a shot of.
Probably Harley's drink.
What was it? What was it, Lars?
I think Jack was Harley's drink.
Jack, okay. So
that's what Dave Marquez told me anyway.
Yes, that's what I heard too. That's what I was told by him, and that's what I was told by shout out to Leland Race. Leland was always good to me. We interviewed Harley, and Harley had the voice, man. And Saltine can attest to this in my staff. We was set up to interview him at 9:00 p.m. Eastern time. Y'all can look it up. Just type in Harley Race on Under the Mat Radio. Harley called me with that voice. I'm on air, and I hold on. I answer the phone. I said, hello. He says, hi, Evan. I can't do his voice like Tony Schiavone and other people. I'm still eating dinner. Can I call you back in 30 minutes? As I said, no problem, sir. I just want to make sure we're okay. Like, you fucking Holy Grace. Like, what am I saying? No, what do you? He can say 2 hours. I'm like, okay, fine. And I swear to you, 30 minutes to the dot. I don't know if he was eating. I don't know if he was at a home with his wife. He was with his wife because he said he was eating dinner with his wife. 30 minutes to the dot. He called me on my cell phone, my personal cell phone, to make sure I was on air. And this ain't the cell phone I had, but it was the one before this. Yeah. And I still have his number in my phone. And this is how much of a pro he was. And then called the phone. Saltine attest to it. And we did 45 minutes with him. But the fact that he called me, he had their voice like, this is Harley Grace. I'm like, I know who you are. My phone says Harley Grace. I'm eating dinner. Can I call you back? I'm meeting with my wife in 30 minutes. And it was amazing.
He could stand. So Harley was a guy I remember in that camp. Like there's certain things, and it's real early on in my career. So Trevor Murdoch was running the camp.
Yeah, shout out to Trevor.
You had the Nova guys. You had Kinzu Sasaki was there. There's all these Nova guys coming in and scouting people. Right? There's the 3 people in that 2008 camp that had the least amount of experience was myself, Amy Henning, which is Kurt's daughter, and Ricky Steamboat. Right. So like everybody else seemed like 5, 10, 15 years experience. It's where Bobby Fish was there, where Bobby and Kyle O'Reilly were both there. Had Steve Anthony, which was fantastic. Tommaso Ciampa, back when he had no beard.
Yeah.
Michael Elgin was standing, like we took a big group photo. Michael Elgin standing right in front of me. Ricky Steamboat standing right in front of me. And like you just look through, like, oh yeah, he's WWE. Oh, he's Ring of Honor, New Japan. Like you just look through that group, and it's like, oh, everybody's there, right? And so Ricky, or Richie Steamboat, little Ricky. Richie's having a match, and he doesn't have a whole lot of experience. Harley's setting off to the side in this camp. He's got a folding chair and he's just smoking cigarettes off by the opening of the garage door. And I don't remember who he was with. He's working with a guy. The guy called something like sunset flip into a power bomb that at this point he has no business doing, especially with Richie Sebo in front of Ricky. Like Ricky there teaching. And Harley stops everything in the middle of the match, comes over, what the hell are you doing? You have no business putting that it out of the ring. I'm just like, we basically can't tension, man. Like it's a Harley race going off on this dude. He just had that about it. And then BJ, his wife, was a sweetheart, like takes everybody's knee pads home so she can wash them and bring them back so that everyone's got knee pads the next day. It's like, what have I gotten into? I'm like 2 months in the business at this point. And this is my experience getting in.
Shout out to Harley. The stories, we never got this friend. I never met Harley physically, but I got long love, rest in peace, the great Harley Race. Watching him as a kid, as we all did, talking to him on the phone, his wife. Shout out to her. You knew that voice when he called you. I know people talk about Vince and talk about certain distinctive voices. Stu Hart. You knew when Harley called you. You heard that. Shout out to Tony Schiavone with that God's greatest Vader time. You know that Vader. Another one. Shout out to our buddy Leon White. Rest in peace. We talk with Vader a lot. Certain people just have distinctive voices where you know. Okay,
that's Vader one time. Show in Lawton, Oklahoma. Little show that had some television there, but that's where Vader's son was trying to get into wrestling. Vader's son was a star at Oklahoma University, students. So Vader gets his son in, and he's working with a guy. The guy was a badass. Didn't get the recognition he should have. His name was Angel Williams. Now there's two different Angel Williams. One was a female working for TNA. The other Angel Williams he's a police officer in Oklahoma City. And dude was bald, just muscles on top of muscles. Like, I don't think he had a neck. He went straight from the shoulder to his ear. But the guy was a professional. He was stiff, but stiff in safe places, good professional. So
insulated in.
Trusting Angel to help work with his son to help get him ready. Gives you an idea of how good Angel was. But Vader came up, did a show in Lawton. I happened to be on the show. And I came off as a jerk, but it was one of those situations where I didn't know what to say. Because all Leon says to me is, "You're a big kid." I'm like 6'5" and 240, 250. I'm like, "Thank you." I don't know what to say to that. This how big I've been. Then everybody in the locker room coming in. That's a damn legend. That's a Hall of Famer calling this. Then it just piles on. Everyone's there. But I was like, "What do you?" Vader. Vader's a monster. Vader just called me big. What do you say to that? Thank you. I'm certainly not going to confirm it. You're 400 pounds. And you're known for knocking eyes out.
Vader, talking to him, he doesn't sound like he looks.
No.
Because he talks very calm and chill. So that's how he was. You look at like Tyson, other people, Scott Steiner, certain people, any facet, any combat sport, MMA, UFC, pro wrestling. Certain people don't sound like they look. Vader did not. Love Leon. We've helped book Leon. Leon's always been gracious to us, as to you. Regular guy, Ivan Koloff. Shout out, rest in peace, Ivan Koloff. The Russian Bear sounds totally different than what he looks. His wife too. Shout out to her. Oh, this regular people, like this so calm. Dan Severn, my man, Ken Shamrock. regular people that can like fuck you up. Literally, you
It's
know.
more terrifying if they are. Like Mike
Yes,
Tyson's voice is terrifying considering what he can do to you.
yes, yes, that definitely so. So shout out to Vader and him give you accolades, Lars. That's really means something because we seen Vader at shows. Any legend, if anybody takes time out to give you an accolade, you look good. You got a big neck, big arms. You can work, or that means a lot because they see something in you that stands out. So don't
And
ever take that
it's
for granted.
the time that they take, right? Like, so yeah, I tell people every time I went up to WWE, even like Vince passed by and would shake your hand. Thank you for being here. Like these guys are at the top of the business and they're taking time to thank you or they're taking time to acknowledge you. Like it means something. So
The
those things I've always taken with me is try to make that acknowledgement, try to reach out to other people. You never know what somebody else is going through. That may be something that they
right, and as you say, you don't know what they're going through, and just the little subtleties of, like you said, we talked about earlier with the British, with the hand movements or the fingers or the movement or just your body language and your flow could make them feel better. They could have had a depressed day. They could have felt the way. You could have helped save their life. And when they say, "Hey man, thank you," in deep down inside, it's like, "Yo, you saved my life. I could have off myself this day, or could have fell down today, or could have drunk myself to sleep or pill." Just talking real, we both seen it. We've seen it. People drink or drugs or both, and just them to say, "Hey, Lars, thanks, man, great match." That could have been a boost for them, and definitely for you. Um, you talk about Fastlane 2015, being a Druid. We couldn't see your face. Working with Bray, the late great Bray Wyatt, working with the great Taker. You also was a Rosebud,
yeah, everybody gets to be a rosebud.
and and the people that may not know, Adam Rose, former WWE performer who looks totally different. Google him. Then how he looked in WWE, not a bad thing. Adam Rose came up with a party of people. They were considered the Rosebuds. They would, excuse me, acid reflux. Be that party of people. Braun Strowman was one. No Way Jose was one.
I know damn well Braun Strowman could catch him by himself and just press him around the ring over the top of his head. But I'll take the chances where I get him. So it's me, Simon Gotch, Braun Strowman. There's another guy behind me. I can't remember who that was. In that same group, they got Becky Lynch running around as a Rosebud. They've got a couple other people running around as Rosebud from NXT, and then they sprinkle a couple of extras in there with their NXT people. That way, it's different people, but they have the same base crew going around doing. So,
And you could tell the same people from PA because we knew the same people from PA. And I was like, oh wait, man, ain't that what you're calling? Yeah, so we know that it's funny. And then we saw Mandy Leon was on one. I was like, wow, we know all these people in there. That's just wild. He just say, okay, pick y'all. And I was like, every time Evan like, what, excuse me,
yeah,
tag. Hey, we
that's
know all those people all together. He said, I know, just like that. You just picked them, just say, hey, you Rosebud tonight. Ooh.
I mean, I'm shoot, they're paying me. I'm doing whatever, right? So,
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you get down there. I was the time I got some good screen time. It was just random. Here's a bucket of stuff. You guys pick out what you want to wear. I picked out a top hat and a poncho because it makes sense. It's all about continuity with your character when you're a Rosebud. And the next time I went down there, I was like, I don't want to be seen. So I was a giant chicken. And giant chicken. I stayed in the back, and that was the episode where there was a sock monkey, and the sock monkey was Cody Rhodes. He jumps out of the sock monkey as Stardust. They got me right behind them as a chicken. There's like, oh, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like it's something different a little bit every time.
How did you feel with, being on WWE, which is a dream for everybody, just to be on TV? Rosebud, Fastlane 2015, being a chicken, did it add more encouragement and more motivation to you? Hey, I've been in WWE TV multiple times. How did it actually motivate you or push you professionally and personally to keep going with your dream?
So,
Even
uh, so one of the times I went down there is 2012. I actually got invited to Orlando for the week-long tryout. Working with a guy, Raphael King, who's out of Atlanta, a friend of mine now. So uh, we just worked a random match. They liked both of us, both good size. They kind of pulled us off to the side. Hey, we'd like to bring you to Orlando for a week-long tryout, and so on and so forth. Go home, don't hear anything. Start emailing a few people. Tryout ends up falling through, so we don't go down there. That was the same time that they, like a month later, they hired Kevin Steen, they hired Kenta, they hired that whole group. I was like, all right, well, if I'm not going to get hired, losing out to like Kevin Steen and Kenta is okay, I guess. Right? They've been doing it at a much higher level than what I was. That's when they were going into hiring a bunch of independent wrestlers with names. Kind of is what it is. You know, sometimes it just doesn't fall right for you. My last go around in 2015 is when I decided that I needed to find a different way to find who I was. That's when Steve Regal or William Regal told me, we don't feel like you know who your character is. You're just telling us what you think you want, or you think we want to hear. So it's one of those moments where, all right, step back. What have I always fallen back on and been most comfortable with? The strength coach. I'm comfortable in strength coaching. I've always done security of some sort. I did the Air Force. I did bouncing through college at bars. That's just kind of who I am. And that's when I got into doing some contract work. So finished up with wrestling for NWA. And who am I? Who am I really at my core? Like if I'm just all things being equal, and I'm not trying to put on airs about anything, who would I be? That's where I ended up getting into law enforcement, getting into the jail. And it's one thing I loved about the environment. It's weird to say that I liked the jail environment. If you think about it from the perspective of a professional wrestler, what am I doing as a pro wrestler? I'm walking into an area full of spectators, and I'm trying to hold their attention and get them to do what I want them to do, whether it's cheer, whether it's boo. You walk into a housing unit of 80 inmates, maximum security inmates. I have no doors, and I have to hold their attention with my voice and get them to do what I want them to do. And I'm not going to physically manipulate them to do any of it. There's just no way to do that with 80 people. I can do it with one, maybe two if I'm lucky, and taking plenty of leave that day. Like I'm not doing that with 80 people. I have to be able to control it. So you walk out into the middle of the housing unit and you're addressing them. I'm cutting a promo. Like, this is exactly what I've been training to do. Get everybody up, and they kind of then you put a little bit more emphasis and bass in your voice, and you get them to react. All right, well that worked. Let's keep that. What works, what doesn't. And every day you're playing a little bit up. And so the jail environment really worked out for me because that's what I've been doing for 8 years. I just didn't know how to do it as me.
Right.
I was trying to do it as whatever character, whatever ours was. I wasn't doing it as me.
You see, going
it made a lot more sense.
Transitioning from Lars to Larry.
Yeah,
pretty much. And like I said, you being so candid and being so open with that definitely means a lot. And we'll ask a few other things. I know we're running on time. August 30th, 2008. Why does that date synonymous?
My first match, or my first day in.
Talk about that.
So I had, like anything, I'm from Southwest Missouri, right? So I get out of the Air Force, working at a Justin Boot factory. And just, I'm an overhead press operator at this point, right? Just push the button, bring them down, cut out the liners, send them down the line. Right? Every now and then you go off, you pick up an 80-pound bundle of leather, you move that onto a rack off the truck. That was my job for 8 hours. I knew that was not going to be what I wanted to do. Like I said earlier, I'm the type of person that comes up with a plan. So I want to be a trainer, I want to be a strength coach. How do I do that? I come up with the entire plan on how to accomplish that while I'm working at this factory. Need to get a certification. Find a certification. All right, it takes 11 weeks on average to do it. I get it done in 4. It's 8 hours a day at the factory. Come home 3 hours at night, study, and that's my life. Because to get to where I want to go, I have to get out of the factory because I have to have the time. They happen to be building a powerhouse gym in the city where I'm living, Joplin, Missouri. Powerhouse at the time, it's 2007, 2008. That was huge. Like you open up a Flex magazine and everything's Powerhouse or World Gym. Jay Cutler, the string tank tops, like everything's Powerhouse. Right? They're opening up a Powerhouse gym. I'm in there at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, while they're building the gym, finding the general manager. Hey, I need a job. I'm going to be a trainer. Blah, blah. Not enough to annoy him, but just enough to make him realize that I'm not going to
know who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
He takes a shot, hires me. Very, very important mentor in my life, Jason Zerba. He's still there. He takes a shot, hires me. All right, so now I'm out of the factory. I can make my own schedule. I can go to school. So I'm going to school a little bit. And also at the same time that I was in this factory, I'm tall enough, I'm big enough, I want to be a pro wrestler. I might have a shot, but I have no idea how to get in. That's where I find Harley's camp. I sign up for Harley's camp. In the meantime, I'm working at this gym. There happened to be a local pro wrestler that was coming through. He's from the area, but there was a magazine put out by the same, like the town newspaper. And the magazine's got his picture on it. He had just got looked at by OVW. His name was Mr. Saturday Night Barry. He's got big workup on him, the picture on the front page, and I'm working at the gym, and I've got the magazine underneath the desk. And here comes this big guy with long hair walking in the front door. And I kind of look at that, and I look at the magazine. I was like, hey, damn, that's Michael Berry. Let's go talk. Hey, my name's Larry. I just signed up for Harley's camp and trying to get into pro wrestling. And he does the what he should do as a guy that's just had some kid come up to him, talk to him. Oh yeah, kid, you got a good look. Tell you what's going to be $1,500 and meet me at this place at this time. It was his house at 4:30. So military background. If you're on time, you're late. So 4:30, I'm there at 4:15. He shows up at about 7:30, hammer drunk.
7:30.
Yeah, the whole thing was a test.
Right.
If he wants to be in, he'll be there. So he shows up. We walk into his house, and then he shows me like nothing but an hour of death matches, like the barbed wire, the glass, the flames, everything. Right? Just trying to scare me away. He's like, you still want in? Yeah, I still want in. All right. You're driving. Be at this spot Saturday, August 30th. You're going to drive us to the match. So I'm in the spot, got my car gassed up, ready to go. We go to Harrison, Arkansas, Mid-States Wrestling. August 30th, 2008. I get there early, I train, I referee every match, and then I drive them all back that night, and that was the beginning of it. I never went to a formal wrestling school.
Wow.
Went to Harley's camp, but all of my schooling was done in the car, kind of old school, like an apprenticeship. I would work Monday through Friday at the gym, go to school Monday through Friday. Friday night, we'd have a show in whatever town. Saturday night, we'd have a show 300 miles away in another town, drive back Sunday, back in school Monday. That was it. 5 years of that. We do 1,300 miles a weekend.
Wow.
Remember the worst one we had was we did a show in about mid-Oklahoma on Friday, drove over to Colorado Springs that night, had a show in Colorado Springs on Saturday, and then drove back Sunday across Kansas, which is a god-awful drive, back to Joplin, Missouri on Sunday to be back on Monday. So
Man,
any of it.
And it shows the dedication you did. I appreciate that, Lars, is above. You learned as you went, as you go. You hardly camp, showed up as a referee, which is a different dynamic from being a pro wrestler. You just learned as you went.
I was not good at refereeing. It's difficult for a referee to be 6'5" and 250 in an independent wrestling show in Arkansas. You tend to stand out.
And
then if you don't know your spacing, you're crossing in front. I feel so bad. I watch matches back now of that night. I'm crossing in front of the guys in front of the camera because I just don't know where I'm supposed to be. But for a young kid who doesn't know where he's supposed to be, that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
You learn how to get your spacing in the ring without actually being the one taking the hits. And all that.
Position is very important. Shout out to our good friend Jimmy Corderas, WWE legend. Earl Hebner, Nick Patrick, James Beard, good old buddy. You know, legends in being a referee is so much that goes on in being a referee, positioning and timing that you learn with that. And the fact that you started out as a referee and then you learn it as you go. And also you have road stories because you hear a lot of the legends of the yesteryear say, oh, you know, the territory years we had to travel this day, that day. WWE had a show. I don't know if it's still going on now. Saltine Ride Along, where they're doing, you know, road trips from hotel to airport or vice versa. You still had to do road stories too. You still have those of traveling on the road. So that's very influential and very important. Learning from the older guys, just being in the car with a legend, a manager, or a wrestler, they're telling you stories, learning from them. We've experienced that. You've experienced that. That's when a lot of the psychology comes in of how to do things, why to do it, who to do it to, when to do it. So that's important. You have that.
We would break down every match. So you have the match that night, and then the entire drive back, you're breaking it down. And everybody, what they did, why they did it. Hey, why did you do this? Next time that you're in this spot, do this instead. Wait, draw this out a little bit longer. Do this a little bit fast. Like just those little things that you're picking up. And you got 3 hours to learn this. 3-4 hours in the car to learn this stuff.
That's very important, man. It is, and I've been in a professional wrestling ring. I never wrestled as a pro wrestler, but just all years of working with the boys and the girls, the managers, and referees, and the boys and yourself, retired or semi-retired or still active, you really learn placement in the ring, how to do stuff, why you do it, you know, hard camera, this camera, moving this on, how to sell. You learn about how important it is. And you look at, excuse me, the business different.
Yeah.
You watch a match, you know, I know when we watch a match, I'm watching it differently we're all fans, as you say, marks. We're all marks. Because of that experience we have with talking to so many people and doing little things, we see it in a different light as opposed to your aunt didn't watch it since Bruno or since Dusty or Harley, you know, a different way. So let's do rapid fire real quick. I know you've been gracious with our time. I know we're over 2 hours and a half. You rapid fire real quick with you. What is your favorite firearm?
The one I have on me.
9mm?
Depends on. I look at them. They're tools to me. Right? So it doesn't. It's not necessarily a favorite one way or the other. It's what works best in the situation. If I'm wearing shorts, you know, if I'm dressed a certain way,
Yeah.
as far as just the aesthetics of it, I've got a Smith & Wesson 686 revolver that is absolutely gorgeous. I refuse to carry it. It's so pretty.
It ain't gonna work with no shorts. I'll tell you that by experience.
No, it's a big revolver. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it is. It ain't gonna work with no shorts.
I always say people, when guys get older, you get into one of two things. You either get into World War II history or you get into barbecue.
Oh, we'll get there.
Historical fact, the M1 Garand is everything that brought to the table for us as Americans anyway. And setting up the battle rifle moving forward. First semi-automatic that was employed. Everyone says the 1911 won 2 world wars. Now that was the M1 Garand. That was the gun. You talked about your father was World War II, or your
grandfather? Yep.
My grandfather was, or my great grandfather was a Marine in World War II on the Pacific side. And you pick up an M1 Garand and how heavy it is. My great grandfather was not a large man. Think of how difficult this thing was to push through.
Yeah.
Job carrying 8, 9, 10, whatever your loadout was, and then fire. It kicks like a mule. And these guys are just laying down fire all the time with this thing. That one to me means a lot. Just the historical presence of it. The one I've got, it's got all original parts from April of 45. If you know the World War II, that's when Germany gave up April of 45. So that one from a historical standpoint would be.
I love the answer. I've seen those. I have and I'll text you off air. I have a World War II rifle that was gifted to me by a gunsmith that I did some TV work with. That I'm sure my grandfather used, because back in the day, our grandfathers and fathers didn't talk much about the war. My grandfather actually did say they used those rifles and used 1905 rifles with the knives. So he would tell me about those stories of that. He had, I didn't know till he died, he had 4 firearms stashed in the house right around the corner. So I only knew about 2. The other 2 I found out after he died. So I definitely realized that. If you had to get in a shooting matchup with either the Terminator from Part 1, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or RoboCop, who would you choose from Part 1?
RoboCop.
RoboCop, the Beretta.
There's at least something on RoboCop that I know.
Yeah. The automatic Beretta, yeah.
Yeah.
I know you probably never been asked that question before, but
No, but I mean, it makes sense. I mean, RoboCop starts off the movie by getting his ass beat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Terminator doesn't do that until the very end of the thing. But yeah, so I'm taking RoboCop. I'll take Peter Weller. I ain't going up against.
You gonna go against Jason Patrick in Part 3? Let us say you told me about. That's why he was laughing. We know about Pete. Shout out to Jason Patrick. No one give a fuck about you in RoboCop 3. Peter Weller.
You mean Robert? What's his name? You mean who played RoboCop 3? I think that was Robert something.
Was it Robert Patrick or
no? Not
Robert Patrick was the T-1000.
He was T-1000.
Yeah, he was the
Jason
too.
Right? Was it Jason Patrick? Murphy in Part 3.
No, it was Robert. He was in Thinner. Robert something.
Because Peter Weller was RoboCop in 1 and 2. But it was some random ass dude in Part 3, which no one like that shit. The samurai, anything.
He's a no actor. I took my education on it. He's a no actor. I was like, oh, he was in the stuff before RoboCop.
Who was in 3? Who's RoboCop in 3?
Right. What's his name? Robert John Burke. He was in Thinner,
that's what it was. Robert John Burke. Yeah.
Botch.
Yeah, it was a botch. I apologize.
I'm taking on Peter Weller. Me and Weller 1-on-1.
And he was in Tombstone too.
Oh, yeah, we love Tombstone better than Water.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And plus
sorry,
he's a
Kevin
black.
Costner.
Yeah, and he's a black belt too. I didn't even know he was a black belt.
Look, he can kick and punch, but we talk about guns. So shout
Right.
out to Tombstone, Water, Kurt Russell over Kevin Costner, Water. I'm sure you agree
Okay.
to that. So this to make sure, Lars, you said Peter Welling, RoboCop 1, Beretta
Yeah.
over Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator 1.
Like if I have to fight them, yeah.
Okay, if you had to shoot with him.
Oh, if I had to shoot with them,
Mm-hmm.
like they're on my team. I'm taking the robot. I'm taking Terminator.
Terminator. Okay. I like the answer.
Yeah, if they're teaming up with me, I'm taking the Terminator. If I gotta fight them, I want the one that I know can die.
I have one. Tech.
All right, good.
All right. Team up with in like a shootout. You got two. This is from Hong Kong, right? You got Jackie Chan in Police Story or Tequila from Hard Boiled. Who would you team up in the shootout?
I'm going Jackie Chan because at the worst case scenario, he can make me laugh.
Yeah,
He's
he,
about
Oh,
the Jackie Chan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Why do you love bacon so much, brother?
Bacon.
Why do you hate sausage? We don't see nothing but bacon. What's up with you, bacon and sausage, man? I told you we was gonna get you.
I am an American.
Isn't sausage American?
Part of it. I don't have anything against sausage, but there's something inherently American about bacon.
Yes. You don't have to fuck with me. I told you that. We do our research. You know that.
Big, thick cut bacon, a couple eggs, nothing extravagant, 4 or 5 eggs, couple pieces of bacon, 2-3 cups of coffee. That's how you need to be able to start the day like that. I don't know how vegans do it. Vegans and vegetarians, I would just be pissed off all the time.
My daughter's a vegan. My daughter's a vegan.
Oh,
she's
okay.
No, she's fine. She don't care. She's fine.
I would be so angry if I couldn't have. And I know they make fake bacon. Faking, I'm not.
How do you make fake bacon?
Soy. They make anything out of soy.
Oh God, don't give me some of this shit.
Oh my goodness.
Look, all the vegans and vegetarians and all the different the disciples and the different sects and different what you call them categories of we love you guys too.
I mean, have at it. If that's how you want to live your life, cool. I'm libertarian at heart, so if that's how you want to go about your business, we'll go about your business. But bacon.
So the only bacon you'll eat is pork. You won't eat beef.
Beef? They make beef bacon?
They do.
I haven't had that. I've had the turkey bacon, and that tastes like cardboard.
I like turkey bacon. Depends on the brand, but I'm with you with pork. What about scrapple?
As what?
Scrapple. You've never had scrapple before? Okay. We got to bring you here to Baltimore so you can have scrapple.
Delaware is a Delaware thing.
Yeah, Delaware, Baltimore. Rapper scrapple is the only way to go. So I will get my aunt to make you some scrapple sandwiches with some syrup. You will love it. So you come here, or I got family in Georgia. We'll come there. We'll bring you scrapple. We're a family that legit asks us to ship them scrapple.
Okay.
Bacon, scrapple, sausage, pork roll.
My stomach is very Irish Midwest type of stomach, so I don't
fat back. Fat back. You like fat back? Thank you. You know about fat back. Okay, I love fat back.
Yeah.
Love fat back. Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in the scrapple though.
Okay, I got you in the scrapple, brother. I got you. We'll talk off air. I promise you, I got you in the scrapple. You have it fried with a biscuit, some eggs, and some sauce, and with some eggs and with some syrup. You'll love it. let's talk about what we love when we been sipping on bourbon. You're a dark man. You love bourbon. You love whiskey.
Yeah, bourbon's my thing. I've got scotches if I'm in the mood for it. I've got some Irish whiskeys. I've got a pretty good selection. Um, Now during the summer, some vodka or a margarita, just more so to cool me off. Like, I'm in Atlanta. It's hot all the time. I
Yes.
sweat in Atlanta from April until about a week ago. So every now and then it's difficult to do some of the bourbons. But my bourbon go-tos are high proof, Elijah Craig barrel proof. Today is Woodford, Knob Creek single barrel. Those real hot, like 120, 130. I think George Stagg, George T. Stagg is definitely up there if you can find it. But I'm a bourbon guy. It's my heart.
Now, if you had your last bourbon to sip, what would it be? Would it be Elijah Craig, Buffalo Trace, Old Forester? We do. I'm a bourbon guy. You know that. I'm bourbon, whiskey, cognac. I know what you like to drink. Your ball looks like my ball. Elijah Craig, Buffalo Trace, Old Forester. This man got something Blue Falcon. Ain't never hear that shit. But when we meet up, we gonna have a sip of it.
Blue Falcon, you can't have the Blue Falcon. If you came from the military police background, Blue Falcon's a no go.
I gotta try that because I never had Blue Falcon, but since all backgrounds are similar, I gotta try that with you, brother. Seriously, take a shot at that and sip it. Elijah Craig, Maker's Mark. Um, if you had your last sip of bourbon right now, you couldn't sip anything else for a year, what would this be?
Oh, George T. Stagg. So the Stagg Junior and then the George T. George T. is like, I've had a glass of it. It's like filling your mouth with a cherry, like so thick that the viscosity of it, you can almost. It's damn near impossible to find. If you find it, you're paying way too much for it. But George T. Stagg, if I had one and I could only have one for hold me over for a year, it'd be that one.
Not Winkle, not the Kentucky.
That's
Not the
out
Van.
of Buffalo Trace line.
Yeah, Buffalo Trace. Yes, I'm familiar with that. So you would take that over the Van Winkle.
Yes, but, a lot of Pappy. People love Pappy. People love Weller. Like Weller, they call it the poor man's Pappy. It's too weeded bourbons are really sweet to me. I kind of like the higher rye, a little
High
bit more
proof.
spice.
So you're probably like us to where my thought is when it comes to bourbon, whiskey, cognac, it has to be minimum 80 proof. Minimum. And when we say that, the people listening, 80 proof is you go to a liquor store, you look at the proof of a liquor. You divide it in half in two. So if it's 80 proof, that's 40% alcohol. So for me, it got to be minimum, and I'm saying this very strongly, which you get Lars, Eric knows, Saltine knows, minimum 80 proof. Because I'm normally like, it got to be, that got to be like 45% alcohol, 50 minimum for me to sip a cigar, take shots of, and I'm sure you with that.
Well, with bourbon, if it's not 80 proof, it can't legally be classified as bourbon.
Exactly. Right. I was going to say, right. Exactly.
Bourbon's real specific from a legal standpoint of what you can classify as bourbon. Like it has to be at least 80 proof. It has to be in a new oak barrel. Like it can't be a used oak barrel, or it can't be bourbon.
Exactly.
I think it has to be out of Kentucky. It can be out of anywhere so long as it's in America.
Yes, that's true. And also too, and I know myself, I don't talk about this as much. I know with yourself and a few others that are whiskey bourbon connoisseurs with my background and knowing about whiskey and bourbon is if you see anything in a liquor store, because I worked for POS systems where we installed the actual software for the retailers in liquor stores. So you go to a liquor store, you see that computer, that cash register. I was the people that installed that machine or make sure the software runs so you can buy it. If you see something that says cask strength, single barrel,
Send it to me.
yeah, send it to us. That proof is gonna be high as shit. If you see where it says black, it's going to be either 3% more or 5% more than usual. So if something like we love Jim Beam, if it's Jim Beam by default is 83, 40% alcohol. If it's something that says black or Crown Royal, which is Canadian whiskey, it's not bourbon. Crown Royal is Canadian whiskey. If it's black, it's going to be 3% higher, or it's going to be 5% higher volume and by proof than it would be by the regular. So that means it's darker, it's more aged, and it's going to get you there a lot faster. So you're a dark guy. I love it, Lars. I am too. As we talk about, we know it. For you beginners out there loving bourbon and whiskey and cognac, which I like cognac, don't start out drinking no cash strength shit, single proof, because you're gonna be done.
You won't appreciate it. Like,
You won't. Exactly. Some stuff is sippable.
right. Like, honestly, the best thing to start off with, if I have somebody who wants to try bourbon, Buffalo Trace, just a
Yes.
regular Buffalo Trace. And it's
Yes.
90 proof, so but there's enough going on with it so that it's not going to not going to knock you out. You can kind of appreciate it a little bit once you get past the alcohol. A lot of people, especially new, can't get past just the alcohol. Like, all they smell is alcohol. Put it in the cup, let it breathe for about 10, 15 minutes. Let it get the alcohol vapors out of them, and then approach it. If you just
Exactly.
people start shooting, like, shot, no,
Yeah. You
it's a
it,
terrible way.
and as you know, Lars, you have certain stuff that are shottable and that are sippable.
Yeah.
And with Buffalo Trace, which I love Buffalo Trace, as you said, you pour it in a whiskey glass, cognac glass, whatever you prefer. Let it sit for a bit. Smell it. Certain stuff, and we'll get to the spicy foods in a second. As you know, me and spice and hot sauce similar. Certain alcohols hit you straight up, like wrestling. Bam in your mouth, slap you, punch, power bomb, super kick in your mouth. You gonna feel that shit right away. Then it dissolves. Certain stuff is smooth at first, but then it hits you on the back end. When you feel that shit in your titties and your nipples and your stomach, you get what I'm saying. So with Buffalo Trace, I love it. Right, you feel all of those flavors where it goes down smooth, and then you feel that in your chest. If you're a woman, you got titties, man. We got titties, see what you know what I mean? The packs, the nipples. You feel it in your stomach. You feel that you embrace it, and that's why certain stuff you sip first with a cigar, even if you don't smoke cigars or what have you, the Black and Milds or Capones, you sip it so you can enjoy the aromas of all the vanilla and the ginger and the oranges and the different pills of that. You could taste it because when you shot stuff. You ever know how I feel? Then you gonna get fucked up.
Shooting. I once I was out of college, I'm not shooting stuff anymore.
Look, we like the shot, brother. So you saying when under the mat beat up with Lars, you're not taking no shots because we shot. We'll
I'll
sip.
drink a whiskey and I'll drink another whiskey, but I'm just shooting stuff back. I feel terrible afterwards.
So
I'm a pace it out, drink it, enjoy it,
right.
then get
So
another.
so with you being a professional like me, you're like Saltine, I know you got certain stuff in your house, and I seen your collection where you know, all right, if I gotta do about 3, 4 shots, I'ma shot this, but I ain't shotting this. This is the sippable shit. This is the shottable shit. So I'm telling you, when we come there to Atlanta, you come here to Baltimore, the Elijah Craig, the default, because I know they got different colors, like Knob
Yeah,
Creek.
the Elijah Craig 94 you can sip.
Yeah. It's not
like
shottable.
Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, everyone shoots Jameson. That was the thing in
Oh, look.
college was shot
Yeah.
of Jameson.
Yeah.
I have no desire to take a shot of Jameson.
You hate Jameson? Is that on your off list? That's on what we call the Bula Bula. That's the. That's,
If I'm doing, because Jameson's an Irish, if I'm going to do an Irish, I'm going to do Green Spot.
oh, okay.
But I'm not really an Irish guy.
So you mentioned Irish. You say what's it called? Green Spot.
Yeah, Green Spot's an Irish. Jameson's an Irish, or Red Breast 12.
I've never had those two. I'm at the try 'em. I know I've had Jameson. I've had was it Tullamore Dew? Tullamore Dew.
Yeah.
We've had Bushman's. Those are the three that I've had. The other two I haven't, so we have to definitely try those out.
They're a little bit more like a light Scotch, like a Space Ice Scotch.
Okay.
Almost like think of like a pecan sandy or pecan sandy. However, here everyone in Georgia calls them pecans. Like from the Midwest, I call them pecans. To me, a pecan is what you use in the car on a long drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
You said.
you eat one of those and then you drink the Green Spot, and you get a lot of the similarities.
After you had, let's see, after you had a hard day, whether it be a fucked up match, fucked up day at work, being a deputy sheriff, you will talk about your company, One Fitness. What's the drink that you will go to? You come in the house, you had a fucked up day. This is what I need to sip. And what is the drink that you will have when you had a glorious day? You had a 5-star match, Uncle Dave. You had an amazing day. I know.
I ain't getting a 5-star match from Uncle Dave.
Right. Yeah. Look, Kurt Angle had that in his career. I don't know how the fuck that happened, but hey.
But I never went to Japan.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's what you have to do. Look, we just gotta wear kimono something. The Uncle Dave. Look, we got dress up like Inoki, John Baba, Muda. Look, look, the spray paint BVW, BVD right on the mat. So that raise the matches up by 2 stars automatically by Uncle Dave.
Now my go-to is probably going to be Old Forester, 1920. It's Prohibition. That one for a long time was going to be my go-to.
Okay.
If I just need a lot of alcohol, I'm probably just going to get a big Moscow Mule and put it in a Yeti and go at that.
Okay. And that is for your rough day.
Yeah, that's for the rough day.
Okay.
The Old Forester is for the good day.
So bad day is what?
Just a big ass Moscow Mule in a Yeti cup.
Now you say Moscow Mule, you gotta be specific to what ingredients you put into it. Because everybody make Moscow Mules, they add a little difference to it.
Oh, I'm doing vodka, any type of vodka. It's vodka. It doesn't matter. Probably Tito's is what I got at the house right now. So vodka, ginger beer, lime. That's about as fancy as I'm getting. But like just some lime juice, sweet lime juice. Stir it up.
Okay. Forster.
Old Forester, the 1920 Prohibition is the.
Are you sipping it neat? And as
Oh,
we say, neat meaning that no ice, the straight, or ice
but I
cube.
said this if I'm doing like an old fashioned.
Okay, old fashioned. I got you. Talking bourbon here, we talking alcohol here. We do love it. Barbecue, man. Look, you love barbecue.
Yeah, man, from Kansas City area, you gotta love barbecue.
I've had barbecue in all of the meccas around the United States. I've had Kansas barbecue. A lot of people tend to forget that You have Kansas City barbecue, which is in the Missouri. And you have Kansas barbecue, which is in the state of Kansas.
Yeah, that's
Different things. Like
yeah.
you have it in
But
Texas, Georgia, Tennessee.
so Kansas City, Kansas City style for ribs for me. If I'm doing a brisket, it's Texas style. Texas style brisket is mustard, salt, pepper. That's it. Everything's done with the actual cook itself.
Right. Now, your favorite types of barbecue in general.
Probably brisket is my go-to usually. Yeah.
And you like the mustard with the salt pepper? Do you
Yeah,
prefer
just
dry
mustard,
rubs?
just get the salt and pepper to stick on it because there's not a lot of blood in a brisket to hold it on there. So you do mustard base over the top, salt, pepper, real heavy pepper to get the bark on there, and then it's probably going to be a 14-hour cook, depending on the size of the brisket.
What kind of smoke are you using? A smoker? Are you using a gas grill? Using
Uh,
charcoal?
Smoker, I use a green egg, big green egg.
Okay.
Now, if you have the time and the patience, an offset smoker is probably going to get you a better flavor, but you have to tend to that fire about every 15 minutes. I like the green egg because I can just set it and leave it alone for a while.
Cooking barbecue, is that a part? How do you feel with cooking barbecue? Is a part of therapy for you? What's the feeling you get from when you finish making a mean ass brisket compared to sipping an Old Forester, compared to having a good 5-star match by Uncle Dave?
I mean, the brisket is just one of those. Honestly, a lot of times you're trying to outdo your friends. So your friend makes a brisket or make some type of ribs or whatever, and then you're just trying to outdo them and see basically who can have a better one. Then it just becomes a point of pride at that point. So, and each time you're trying to outdo yourself. So was this one better than the last one? You'll never know because you don't have the last one there. So it's the star that you'll never quite catch.
Brother answer, I do. Very quickly because I know it is getting late. Are you on a plant-based diet? Because I know you love those plant-based chips.
I plant my ass in the chair and I eat whatever.
All right, favorite type of egg.
I mean, I don't remember where I saw it. I started doing something where you just throw a bunch of shredded cheese down and throw the eggs on top of it and fry it hard over this, or kind of over hard on the top of it. Started doing that for a little while. I mean, eggs are eggs. It's pretty much whatever isn't boring you at the time. I've eaten eggs in my time between wrestling and strength training, and that's at a certain point it's almost like a chore. What can I do to this egg to make me not hate it by the end of this meal?
I feel you. Why do you love spicy food so much? Like
Uh,
myself.
I don't do spicy food hardly at all. My stomach's very Irish, so the calmer I can keep my food selection, the better off I'm going to be.
So we're opposite. Now
My,
you
my,
did post a jalapeno pizza with mushrooms and
oh
cheese.
no, that was a mistake.
Yeah, we saw that, and we're gonna ask you about it because you know we're spicy lovers here. So we saw, I was like, oh, okay, we'll eat it. So talk about that story.
that, that was a. I think I'm going to try something and be creative, and I don't need to be creative in the kitchen. Is what I found out from that. That was just I've got all these foods. I think that they'll go well together. I put them on the pizza, and I couldn't eat hardly any of it. I made it through one slice, and
You were done. So what you're saying is that spicy food basically jobs you out.
oh
So
yeah,
one jalapeno pretty much makes you a jobber
yeah,
or an enhancement talent.
I'm a rosebud for a jalapeno.
Rosebud, I got you. We can eat jalapeno straight up. Add some honey on there. I eat it as a snack.
My wife is putting hot sauce on her eggs and everything.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Shout out to Mrs. Lars. I'm with her on that. My wife is not doing that. Pepper is spicy to her. So you're yeah, we could do that. We definitely do. There's nothing wrong with that, but we'll do that. We got you in the bourbon. We on the same level with the bourbon with spicy food, me and Saltine. We got you. We like up here. We gotta get you on our level on that. Real quick, Mr. JL.
Yeah, Jerry.
Explain who Mr. JL is. We know who he is. Explain to the fans and why he's so amazing, because he is.
So the Jerry meeting Jerry was cool. The important character in that picture is actually the other guy. So the other guy is the one I was telling you about, Michael Berry, that got me into wrestling.
Yes.
So he, of course, he's been wrestling for, I think he was in for 6 years prior to he and I meeting up. He still wrestles periodically. He works on AEW stuff as security. If you watch around ringside, you'll see him as a security guard. Just legit security, not running and getting beat up all the time. Barry and I talk constantly, texting back and forth. There's one of those, they say if a friendship lasts longer than 7 years, you'll have it for life. That's Barry is one of those for me. Right? So Barry's in town in Atlanta. They're doing the show up in Gwinnett County, I think it was, Gwinnett or DeKalb. Barry's up doing that, shoots me a call. Hey, we're at the airport. We're going to be over here at this Marriott. Come over. I show up. I'm just planning on meeting up with Barry, having dinner, whatever. And show up. And there's Jerry Lynn. Jerry and we worked the same shows, but never at the same time. So
wow.
In the TCW, Traditional Championship Wrestling, was a big one through the Midwest, local syndication, all that. I was one of the main baby faces on TCW for a while with Tim Storm, who was NWA champion.
Yes, that's Tim Storm.
Hurricane Helms was on there. They brought Scott Steiner. They brought Hacksaw Jim Duggan. That's where I met Matt Bourne and Bobby Eaton. So they were always bringing these names in. As soon as I left is when they started bringing in Jerry. So it was like ships in the night. Like we passed by and never saw each other. So Barry's in Atlanta has dinner with Jerry. I meet up with them. We go out and just hang out. It was really cool because Jerry's done a lot in wrestling, right? Immense amount of knowledge, decades of experience. And Jerry was another one of those guys that is just, he's one of the boys. Right? We start talking. He's listening to my stories. He's indulging me in my stories, much as you guys have been. We're just going back and forth. It's like we've been in the locker room for years together, knowing each other for years. It's something of that kindred spirit with the boys, with other wrestlers. That is just if it's one of those guys, you know it, you could just kind of click up.
Amazing.
So we went up down in Atlanta, and that's about all I can say about that.
we won't dive any deeper into that. I'm sure we'll get the more story off air, but Mr. JL, Jerry Lynn, we love Jerry Lynn. Shout out to our big brother Chris Featherstone, Pancakes and Power Slams, who Jerry Lynn on the show multiple times. Love him. Remember, he was what was he, Salty? Wasn't he like a special character in like Shut Your Mouth? Or just bring it?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Uh-huh.
So excited, man. Jerry Lynn, ECW, him and RVD, WWE, still look great. Definitely underrated, man. Barely got hurt. Great look. Just did good stuff in the ring.
I told him those type of guys were the most intimidating for me to wrestle with as a big guy, because there's nothing I could do to keep up with them. Even if I could do it, it wouldn't look right. So I'm like, one, I can't keep up with you anyway. But the smaller, just high work rate guys were so intimidating for me to work. I would rather go with another guy who's 6'5", 6'6", and brawler type, or
Right.
even somebody bigger. I worked with a guy named Titan for TCW. He was 7 feet tall, 350 pounds.
Well,
Working with him because he could, like, I was just a little guy. I got to run around and do all little guy shit. Right? So,
you get to have some fun.
yeah.
You're a big guy, but you got to work as a smaller guy dealing with him, dealing with Titan. So it's a little fun. Before we end it, Mount Rushmore, top 4 professional wrestlers of all time. Your personal list. Personal list.
Sting is up there. I got to put Sting on. Not necessarily work rate or anything, but just what he meant to me as a kid. And that's both Surfer Sting and Crow Sting. I was a child of the 90s.
Thank you.
I was
Yep.
born in 7, so that's what I grew up with.
Joker Sting.
Yeah, Sting is there. Scott Hall is there for me. You and I talked the other day.
Yes.
Always the man. Like, you do not get cooler than Scott Hall. Scott Hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you look at him now, like, you look back and watch that, and he's got the curl down the front of his face, got the mullet all wet, and you're like, that makes no sense at all. But he's still cool.
He was.
You saw that guy in a corner store, you'd be like, what the hell are you doing? But Scott Hall makes it work.
You gonna make me cry, man. That he was so fucking cool. He just whatever he did, it was.
It was,
he was the shit. He was.
Scott cut the top off of a VW Bug and drive around the coolest car. Everybody would want that car, right?
Yeah.
So Sting's up there, Scott Hall. I didn't appreciate him as much until I got into the business. But Stone Cold Steve Austin. Growing up, I wasn't a Stone Cold fan. I was a WCW guy. So for me, it was going to be Goldberg. Once I got into business and could appreciate what he was doing, Stone Cold was right up there. And just for everything that he meant, Taker.
Yeah.
The influence that he had on everybody while he was there. Everything means to people still. Like, I don't know that there's anybody outside of Stone Cold probably who the first note of their music. There's 3 people probably: Stone Cold, The Rock, and Undertaker. That first note hits, and everybody loses their mind.
The gong, the glass shatters.
If you smell,
like, you smell, yeah. Just you just instantly, there's certain people.
I hate to leave Rock off there. I met him in one of the tryouts. Super nice. Come up to shake your hand, talk to you. He was one of those, like, you see him on camera and you're like, he can't be this nice. Like, I want to dislike him for something. But he's always smiling. His teeth, I say his teeth look like they're made of angel's wings. But I meet him and he's nicer than what he is on camera. I'm like, dude, just be an asshole. I don't want to like you this much.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but and shout out to the Rock's family, the Noe family. I know them. I haven't met the Rock, but heard nothing but the same, and the whole family is the same way. They just nice. And for as nice, shout out to my man Jeff Jarrett, good personal friend of ours, friend of the show. You can't be that nice and be that damn evil. Like, he's so nice backstage, personally, which I won't get into. We talked off air this in my life of talking to Jeff. But then on TV, he's like a asshole. He's like coming to a team to Mexico. Yeah, so it's like
research to build off of. You got to think about all the guys that he ran into as a kid growing up.
It's certain people you meet that are so nice, like you said with Dwayne, with the Rock, Dewey, Dwayne. And then backstage, they're nice in person, nice people, but on camera they're so evil. Can nobody, dispute you when you're Mount Rushmore? That's how you are. You got Sting, Taker, you got Rocky, you got Austin, and that's a good point you make with the music. You hear the glass shatter, you hear the gong. I mean, those are like two of the top iconic. You ain't gotta be a wrestling fan. You hear that doom or the glass or certain things you hear. You just know Fire, or Kane, or Bret Hart, or certain people, Hulk Hogan, Real American or American Made, which we won't even talk about American Made, WCW. But you get what I'm saying. That
Now you saw Hulk Hogan, NWO, Voodoo Child.
oh yeah, Jimi Hendrix. Come on, man.
Like that was a totally different
Yeah,
feel.
you,
Hogan just wasn't the guy for me. He was a WWF guy, right?
right,
So, I didn't grow up with WWF, so it was always Sting was my Hogan.
right. That's how we grew up. Right. It was Sting of Flair for
Yeah.
us in Baltimore. That was our Hogan. But shout out to my man Sean Oliver, Kevin Nash, Click This, KFA Commentaries, personal friend of mine. Kevin Nash just said it from the past week. Certain songs are iconic with wrestlers. When you hear Voodoo Child, and me being a musician, I knew about Jimi Hendrix prior. But when you hear Voodoo Child, you think of Hogan. You don't think of even Jimi Hendrix. As wrestling fans, you think of Hogan,
I,
the air guitar. And I play bass. Right.
I can't listen to Smells Like Teen Spirit without thinking of DDP.
DDP.
Yeah.
Or Raven. What's the song escaping me? Raven's theme, WCW. That
Come
was
as
a
you are. Come
yes.
as you are.
Come as
Chris
you are,
Jericho,
Raven.
even flow.
Even flow is the same thing, man. It's a Sandman. Uh, um, Road Warriors. Iron Man. People forget Road Warriors came out with Iron Man before the whole copyright. There's certain songs.
The only thing I like, Triple H, they're escaping me right now.
Said Triple H.
Yeah.
You talking about Motorhead, yeah.
Only thing I like Motorhead for is Triple H's music.
I agree. Aces. You're right. I'm the game. Was it Evolution?
Yeah.
Evolution. Yeah, they did three songs.
So if you, as a joke to us, shout out to my man Comey. If you go back and rest in peace, Lemmy, legend Motorhead. If you watch WrestleMania 17 unedited, because the network is edited, Peacock. If you get a chance to watch the unedited version, I have it on VHS. I don't know if Lemmy was on crack or coke or whatever he was on.
Yes.
It sounds like he said as he's performing Triple H's The Game. It sounds like he said toasted itch on a shoulder bun. What the fuck are you saying? He probably forgot his damn lyrics. It's your
like Lil Wayne never writes his lyrics down. He's
Lil Wayne said it. Lil Wayne said it. Prince has said it before. Rest in peace, Prince. A lot of legendary performers just said, "Look, I don't forgot what the fuck my lyrics are." But if you go back and watch WrestleMania 17 unedited, and I will send you the clip. I think I have it on my hard drive. It sounds specifically like Lemmy says, "Toasted itch on a shoulder bun." What the fuck does that mean? And the lyrics is actually was smoking bitch. What was that? A smoking bitch on a loaded gun.
Yeah,
I think
with
it
a
is. It is.
smoking gun.
Yeah.
Something like
That's what the fuck is he saying?
yeah.
Yeah. He said exactly what he needed to say at the time.
And all his songs are mumbles. And I love Michael McDonald. Oh, the Doobie Brothers, we get it. If you can,
Mad TV.
if you can recite a Motorhead song verse to verse by words lyrically, and so we can audibly understand what you're saying, you should win a prize.
That's why Spotify's got lyrics that pop up underneath it now.
Ozzy sometimes. Ozzy too. when he talk used to.
Well, yeah, all aboard, Ozzy mumbling, Lenny, I'm the game, this evolution is a mystery. The game's the game, and the name's the game. What the fuck are you saying? But we didn't.
Sounded cool.
There you go. Rookie, we let you go, man. Top 4 bourbons, since you're a bourbon guy. Mount Rushmore bourbons.
I'm not going into the specifics, like
Yeah. Without the proof, just in general, just the brand.
Old Foresters, Alp Creek, Elijah Craig, Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, I have to agree. I have to agree with that. And before we let you go, 2 last questions before we go, because then we go overtime. Batman, I know you love Batman. I saw we do the deep details. Say we love Batman too. Give us the Mount Rushmore of. Hold on. The best Batman, the best Bruce Wayne, and in the interview now of the best Jokers.
The best Batman, again, I'm a 90s kid. Michael Keaton is my Batman. I'll throw Christian Bale in there. That's an honorable mention. I can't get into Robert Pattinson. I can't get into a Batman that's younger than me. I'm sorry.
Conroy? How about Kevin Conroy?
I appreciate what he did with it. I'll put him over Christian Bale, but I can't put him over Keaton.
That's fair.
He going Saltine.
Now, as far as, because some people played a really good Bruce Wayne, but they didn't play a really good Batman. Val Kilmer, I thought played a good Bruce Wayne.
Val Kilmer, yep.
George Clooney should not be mentioned in any sense of
it. Oh man, that's true.
The Joker is Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill.
Good job.
And Heath Ledger as far as on screen.
That's good choices. Good choices. All right, we're going to wrap it up. This is the blood party time, so we would like to know where we can find you, if you follow you, tweet you, wherever. Where can we find you? The audience could find you, I should say.
So Instagram, I got 2 Instagrams, one for my business. We kind of alluded to it and didn't really get into it a whole lot. I am a strength coach. I am an exercise therapist, which is akin to strength and conditioning, just working with some injuries. My main one's going to be Lars Lift Us Up on Instagram and on Twitter. Alpha One CFT for the actual strength and conditioning, the business. L Mitchell at alpha1fitness.com. If you need to get in touch with me, want any type of programs, have any type of questions, it can definitely help you out with that. Alpha1fitness.com is going to be my website. So you can find all the links to my social media there. You can find my email there. All the information on kind of just general principles of fitness, conditioning, strength and conditioning, what we do. I'm military, I'm law enforcement. A lot of it just kind of fills into that niche of being the same style of training. Like I said, I'm not a big, how do you feel today? So I didn't do well in fitness clubs. I wasn't the personable, let's talk about your day. We're here to get work done. We're here to get results. Right?
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
That's kind of the mindset I go with my strength and conditioning. So we're here to get results. If you want another trainer that's going to be a little bit nicer to you, that's fantastic. Go find that person, because that's not me. That's never been me. If I learned anything from WWE, it's be true to who I am and serve the audience that is meant for me. Don't try to fit myself to another audience. Right? So we do a lot of military type. At the very least, it's that mentality. I'm big on the big 4s, bench press, overhead press, squat, deadlift, and kind of build everything off of that. Athletic performance is always my goal. I'm not the big weight loss guy. Weight loss is done in the kitchen. But I'm here to get performance. If you want to look different, teach you how to eat a little bit different. But I'm here to get performance results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Tech, you can sign us off.
After that, to separate for a sec. Lars has been amazing. Got everybody, guys and girls, and everybody all around. Grandparents, grandnappies, pets, what have you. You've listened to, I'm going to say part one here of Lars Manderson, Coach Larry Mitchell. This man is owner of One Fit Fitness. He is a U.S. Air Force vets, deputy sheriff, currently golf enthusiast. Retired pro wrestler for the NWA. Great works with Bobby Eaton. He's worked with the great Taker, the great late Bray Wyatt. He's also certified strength and conditioning coach, certified exercise therapist. He loves bourbon. He loves dark. He will drink a margarita here and there. He loves the barbecue. He definitely loves briskets. If you see him, give him some brisket. He loves the sip. He loves the sip. He's a dog lover. You heard everything. What was that?
I said, don't just start giving me brisket like up on the street.
Yeah, don't give him brisket off the street. Let him cook the brisket and then he'll eat it with you. This man started his business in October 30th, 2008. This man had to retire, but unlike some wrestlers, he was able to live a great life outside of wrestling. This man, Mount Rushmore, included Sting and Taker, which the match we never got to see, included The Rock is also, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. He did not include Stunning Steve Austin, a sensational Steve Austin, but it's okay. He's not for plant-based diets. He loves Jerry Lynn, and he even loves Mr. JL. So to let you know that he's a fan, he's all for the Second Amendment. He loves handguns and loves firearms and even more, but he's not going to tell you because you probably got something in the stash. If you come to his house, he's probably going to knock you out. This man is great and amazing. He loves Batman and loves Michael Keaton with the pedal mouth. We love him 1989 and the Batman Returns in 1992. And even for his rebirth in that dumbass Flash movie that nobody watched. This man is now a Dodge Ram fan over a Toyota Tacoma, but we will talk about that in part two. Definitely has some inspirations from Bobby Eaton, inspirations from Bray Wyatt, inspirations from the great Bobby Fish. We didn't get into the Joker or to anybody else, but this is our good old brother from another mother, Larry Mitchell, better known as Lars Manderson. He's probably going to get off here, probably take about 2 shots, go to sleep. He has 3 dogs. And he already told you how his dogs are personalities. So do not mess with the one that reminds him of the Undertaker. Because if he doesn't like you, he's going to get you and you will not hear anything. Got to meet up with you, brother. I appreciate your time. You are in North Georgia. He is not in the ATL. He's in North Georgia. And you will not know specifically where he's at unless you try to book him or unless you're a personal friend. We got to hook up, have some drinks.
I've had a bad day.
Girl, have a bad day. This man loves posting squats. Follow him on Instagram. He'll tell you that too. He loves squatting. He loves barbecue. He loves bourbon. He loves his handguns when he eats. So if you try to get him while he eats, he's probably going to shoot you. Do not watch that. He always has a 9mm or 10mm. I did look that up. And I know my guns that you see, Lars, I do. I do my research as we do as well. So do not come up for why he eats. But brother, appreciate your time.
Thank you guys.
We'll be meeting up soon physically, having shots, having a good time, eating on some barbecue. We've got to do a part 2 because there's so much we didn't get to cover. And is there anything that you want to cover before we let you go?
I think we covered it. I'm a simple guy, simple taste. If anything, somebody listening to this, the last thing they can learn, be happy with where you are. Make your plans, but not at the cost of where you are right now. Always be in that moment.
Appreciate it, Lars. Appreciate you, brother. I'll be talking to you off air. Everybody, this was Under the Mat Radio episode on November the 1st, 2023 with Lars Manderson. And we'll be bringing even more Skype interviews with you. Don't forget, if you're in the area, we'll be at the Toy Expo and Timonial Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland this Saturday and Sunday. Will be with American Gladiator Originals, Ice and Laser from the American Gladiators. Check them out on the Netflix show right now called Muscles and Mayhem, and also the 30 for 30. Saltine, he's straight edge. He drinks nothing but tea and water. He eats figs and eats grass like the Old Testament diet. But myself and Lars will be sipping on bourbon and eating no barbecue. Eat no barbecue. Love you guys much.